welcome to Script Daddy.
I'm your host, Carly.
And I'm your host, Colin. And here, hi, YouTube.
Hi, YouTube.
And
Your Torb.
Your Torb here at Script Daddy. We read scripts, watch the movies, and discuss the differences between script and screen.
Oh,
And welcome to fourth season, Script
Fourth
Babies.
season in less than a year, by the way.
Yeah.
We've been working late because we are podcasters now.
Truly.
So
It happens.
Season 4. 4 is my
here.
favorite number. So
4 is my favorite number.
Of course. We have the same fucking favorite
Yeah,
number.
4 is also my life path number.
Oh, I don't know what
Do you
my
know
life
yours?
is. Immediately
Wow.
stop this and let's find out. Because now I need to know. Inquiring minds need to
Well,
know.
You just got to add up your birthday.
Oh, okay, fine. It better be 4. Now I'm going to be mad if it's not, because it'll mean that your 4 love is spiritual and mine is random. I just love the way it looks.
1990?
Yeah. 1990. Oh, that's what you mean? You add those?
You're a life path 9.
Oh, not a 4.
That's fine. I feel like 9's pretty good. 9 is like a completion number.
Oh, okay.
So that's like, oh, that's fun.
It's funny you should say that because I feel very complete.
Wow.
That's how people describe me as
Yeah.
Carly's so complete.
Yeah.
Let's dive in
let's
because
dibble-dabble dive
for the
in.
first time ever, I did a little field research in the realm of I spoke to my 2 most trusted straight men.
Oh my God.
Because
About this movie?
Yes, because I had this like vague
I'm excited.
cloud over my brain about like how I remember when it came out, like how I remembered the guys around me like experiencing it. It was like in
Yeah.
the back of my head. But I honestly don't know if I've seen this movie since it came out.
Same.
That like, then I was like, it was kind of like, it was just like fucking with me. So I reached out to both of them and they both got back to me immediately. And I was like, God bless you two. And they gave me such great information that I just feel like it will help in the conversation. But I have to say though, this one is like, I'm a real ping-pongy on
I'm
this
very
one.
ping-pongy. I'm conflicted.
Yes.
My movie review is, you'll see, different than any of the other ones before.
Oh.
Let's get into it.
Let's get
tell
in
them.
because I just like, normally I feel like I come into these with like a pretty strong center. And I have to be honest, I feel a bit like a ship at sea who finds calm and then another wave comes and I'm falling all over the place. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the trivia, okay, this is also fun. For trivia,
let's
I
tell them
pulled.
what we're doing.
Oh, sorry.
Although
Did
they've
we
seen-
not say 500 Days of Summer?
They've seen the title, so they know.
True.
But
It's 500.
it's tradish.
It's tradish. It's 500 goddamn days of summer.
It sure is.
It sure is. Sometimes I just get so excited that I forget that I'm saying anything. I did a little special something for you. I got the Amazon logline.
Shut up.
And
Better?
the IMDb logline. So we
Oh my
can
God, we
compare.
can compare.
And now I truly like, listen, if you're listening to this and you work for Amazon loglines or IMDb loglines, we would like to speak with you because
Did they put their whole Amazon into it?
No, but
More than Deborah did?
okay. You know what? I'm going to let you decide. Amazon's logline is a romance between 2 young office employees is charted across its roller coaster duration in this tale of love and heartbreak.
I like that. I like the adjectives. I like the verbs in
Same.
it. It's evocative. Okay.
Miss Deborah has entered the building.
Okay, Debbie, let's lay it on me.
After being dumped by the girl he believes to be his soulmate, hopeless romantic Tom Hansen reflects on the relationship to try and figure out where things went wrong and how he can win her back.
Actually, not bad.
Not bad, but it
doesn't have
certainly
much
doesn't
flair.
make me want to watch it.
No, it doesn't have much flair, but it's really.
And also, do you know
better
what's
than I was
interesting?
expecting.
Is very little of the film, if at all, is he trying to get her back. He actually isn't trying to. He's
No.
depressed that he's not
trying
with
to get
her.
over her.
He's trying to get over her, but you never actively see him literally trying, like pursuing.
Wait,
getting back
no,
with
you
her.
don't.
Yeah, so that's why I
He
was
says,
like,
I'm going to get her back.
Yeah, in the very beginning, and then it's never touched on again. Now, granted, I guess you could insinuate that that's one of the time chunks we don't see, but it's a little weird for that to be in your log line and have that really not be the central.
Debbie.
Debbie,
Step it up, Deborah. Paging Deborah.
Deborah, what's going on over there?
It's bad things.
Bad things.
Apparently. Bad things.
But you know what? If if this is like some young intern who is just thrown into this, then I want you to know we're here for you.
Yeah. But you are like the internet movie database. You should be.
I just
The fact that Amazon's shitting on you with log lines is
not okay.
No.
Don't give this to Bezos. Okay.
I fear Bezos has already taken it.
Yeah. I hope that Bezos is low key the one running the log lines. Like that's
my God.
Like he's like, that's his little like kink. Is he's like
he writes log
he's
lines.
like,
for all
I'm a
the films on
bajillion,
Amazon.
manillia, badillionaire. But I write log lines on IMDb or on Amazon. Jesus. On Amazon, low key, that's like his secret passion in life.
God.
Not to like save the planet or anyone on it, but mainly just nothing makes him glow from the inside out, like writing a log line.
You know what?
Makes me like him more, you know, if that were true.
I guess,
But I
yeah.
made that up completely, so I shouldn't. Anyway, the director is Mark Webb. This was his directorial debut. The writer, I'm going to butcher this last name, Scott Newstater, I believe. It is some very Gorgine spelling. And then this was confusing, Michael H. Weber. And for a second, when I read this quickly when I was tired the other night, and then when I reread it, I was like, no, those are different people. Mark Webb and Michael Weber. I was like,
that is interesting.
I was almost like, are they brothers? And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
It
They have
doesn't,
completely
but that
different
is interesting.
Interesting. Starring none other than Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Zooey Deschanel. The cinematographer was Eric Steelberg. Budget was $7.5 million.
Period.
Not
nothing.
Not nothing. The gross worldwide was $60 million. So, you know, it did quite well considering.
I remember this being quite a beloved film.
Yeah.
I remember like I myself like loved it the first time I saw it. Anyway.
I don't remember how I felt about it when I saw it. I know I feel differently about it now, but I will say when I tell you one of the things that John said to me that I said to him about it, I was like, oh my God. Like I was either the most annoying person to be friends with or the best. I don't know, but it's an interesting share. But anyway, trivia. Okay. This was, like I said, Mark Webb's directorial debut. He had mainly just done music videos beforehand, which I thought was a really interesting.
He brought a life to the movie. The script is very energetic in its own way, but he brought a new perspective to it that, we'll get into
1,000%. Jenny Beckman, the girl who is mentioned at the beginning of the movie and in the script, was a real girl who dumped one of the screenwriters, Scott.
Kind of crazy that they used her real name.
No, they didn't. Well, you're right, they did.
You just said
you're
Jenny
right.
Beckman
No, you're right. They do.
That's kind of wild.
Meaning not Summer, but they say in the beginning.
I wonder if
Jenny.
that opens them up to defamation.
Well, maybe her
laws,
last name's different.
Maybe interesting.
Because maybe I don't know. Yeah, it just says
Jenny Beckman.
It says Summer's based on the girl, and the script of the movie is most of the script of the movie is based on the relationship. It says, according to the DVD commentary, one of the film's writers estimates that 75% of the film actually happened to him, which is interesting because you're like, for an indie like this, you're like, well, that's not, I guess.
I need to know if part of that 75% was him destroying appliances in his apartment.
I'm for my own mental health, I'm gonna hope that part was made up. This I kind of love. The film's blue-centric color scheme was done to bring out Zooey Deschanel's eyes. I just thought that was like a fun little detail because I think I will never shut up about how much I think Zooey Deschanel brought to this character.
Yeah.
Truly. Like it can, specifically after reading the script, I like appreciated her on a whole other level.
Reading the script, I would not have first like pinned Zooey Deschanel as Summer.
But oh my God.
I would have thought like from the script, I would have thought more like a Scarlett Johansson or something like that.
Well, and to be fair,
given that time period.
Also in the script, they describe her as like blonde, short hair, all that stuff, which is not what it ends up being. But dear God, did she bring a lot to the film. But I thought that was a cool detail because it's once again that reminder of the gorgeous art of filmmaking where like even small things like that can make you feel a pull towards her without completely unconsciously.
And they even followed that through for the poster.
Yeah, exactly. The screenplay for this film was featured in 2006 Blacklist, a list of the most like unmade scripts of the year. The studio never intended to include the documentary about love in the film, even going as far as to tell the director, Mark, not to film it. Oh. The audience reaction during the first test screening convinced them otherwise. I love when I remember when
I first saw this movie, I loved that element of it.
Yeah, it's very cool.
That element.
Well, and I will say one of the things that I will commend, and
such an indie movie.
It's such an indie movie, and that's my favorite thing about it. I cannot is what I will say. I'm comfortable saying that. Is that it for a movie that bites off so many different things? It does pull it off pretty well.
It does. For what it is.
For what
it's
it
actually
is.
a very solid film for what it is. I have differing opinions now that I'm
absolutely
older.
But the fact that if you think about it, you have a narrator, you have endless flashbacks. We're jumping over it all the time.
And the narrator in the movie is almost cast aside more than it is in the script.
Yeah.
It almost feels like an afterthought, but it still adds to the overall tone
100%.
and energy of it.
Absolutely.
Which is fun.
And they also work with mixed media. There's animation in it.
Yeah.
There's so many things that like really could have sunk the ship. And I was impressed that it didn't.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, normally if someone just said like this movie has all these things, you'd be like, what?
Yeah.
But for the most part, I was like, okay. But now you can tell like where I'm already doing the justification with my score. That's the trivia.
I do also have my own piece of trivia.
Yes, give.
In interest of
Give.
full disclosure.
Disclosures.
My sister is the actress Chloe Moretz, and she is in this movie. And that has no bearing on my scores or my opinions of this movie. But I do think it skewed my opinion of it when it first came out because I first saw this movie at the premiere and I like loved it. But like I loved everything my sister was in and like kind of cast a golden aura around it. And but now, my perception of the film in particular has changed. Anyway.
Which I will say one of the through lines of the two conversations I had with my guy friends was that there is something to be said that's interesting that, and in many ways, in a positive way, that how you feel about the movie changes as you get older. There is something.
It's a movie for when you're in your early 20s.
No, but I'm saying
even though he's supposed to be in the script, they say he's 30.
Which is like.
In the movie, which I'm like, if you're acting like that at 30, woof. But I feel like it's a script that like for me would have the most relevance in my early 20s.
True, but I will say when I watched it now, I feel like I was definitely too hard on Summer when I originally saw it.
Same.
But that's my point is when you watch it as
we're going to be simpatico on a lot of things about Summer.
Whereas like now I felt so empathetic towards her.
Yeah. And how he smears her character and goes after her and makes her seem like this bad person when she was up front the entire time. Anyway, we'll get into it.
What's your script score?
So I waffled a little bit with the script
Always.
score.
We're wafflers. It's
Actually,
who we are.
I waffled a lot with the
We
script
waffle.
score. I started at a 10 because
I am
just
shooketh.
based off of the sheer feeling I got because I read this script back in the day and I remember really loving it, but I didn't remember much about it. But then when I read it again, it like the formatting and the structure of it and the just energy that's on the page really grabbed me.
Yeah.
And right after reading it, I was like, even though I still had my feelings about Tom and Summer, that Tom is the actual real bad guy in the movie and that Summer is actually completely maligned by him unfairly. But I thought from a technical standpoint, it is incredibly, incredibly, incredibly effective. And I saw the vision and for what it does, that's not an easy thing to pull off on the page.
No.
To be so innovative and to be so free with what it's telling, but also to still get the point across and to fucking land the plane.
Absolutely. Very well said.
But then I was thinking about it more and the elements of it that, again, this might not be fair, but there are things in it that did not age well at all. Particularly stuff regarding race and homosexuality. There's small bits in there. The race thing's actually a bit bigger in it, like when he's having the meetings and stuff.
Yeah.
Like at the thing, odd. And then like kind of the shine kind of left on it. And anyway, I landed at an 8.8 out of 10.
Okay.
So that's where I landed with the script. I could have gone to a 9, but I just thought that was like an honest place to land. And this is what I wrote. I said, this script was an absolute delight from start to finish. Still agree with that. It is. From the dialogue to the structuring to the out-of-the-box formatting, this is an inspired film that marches to the beat of its own drum. It breaks so many rules, but it's done in such a way that I'd argue it would suffer without. The writer calls shots on the page in a way that feels intrinsic to the story itself. Like on page 10, when Tom and Summer are at the diner and Summer says, "Tom, don't come back. You're still my best friend." Right after that, the action reads, the scene freezes and we zoom in on Tom's stunned face, and the script is rife with moments like this. As we've seen with other great scripts, a writer can break traditional rules and get away with it when you fully trust their ability to tell the story. To have it come off so effortlessly is no small feat. If you've never read the script, go get it immediately and dive in. So I wrote that right after I gave it a 10 out of 10.
Okay.
And yeah, honestly, I think my feelings float between 8.8 and a 9. But just, yeah, like I said, all the other things considered, I had to take those into consideration.
I don't know why mine is so low
Give it.
because again, I was thinking about this a little bit because I was like, again, this is like my genre. This is the genre I write in. This is the genre I typically enjoy the most, like relationship, anything. So I'm going to be harder on it, I think, a little bit.
Your take on a film like this, though, is different as a woman.
Fair.
Because you'll see
yes.
my thoughts on the film.
And I do feel
You'll
like
see.
I had to keep combating a part of me that felt a little defensive, which I'm owning, where I'm just going like, because I also am aware of the younger part of me that did see her as more of a bitch when I first saw it and going like, oh, how interesting.
Yeah.
But
Very interesting.
But here's what I wrote. I'm going to say the script in so many ways. Oh, sorry. My score is 7.7, which is really low, but it's not really low.
That's
I
still a
went back
passing
and forth
grade.
so much, but let me see if I can explain why. So I said the script in so many ways is a breath of fresh air. It's paced well, it's unique in how it's told, and there's such an aliveness to it. It bites off narration, endless flashbacks, animation, breaking the fourth wall, all in one film, but none of those things are a deterrent. I felt more let down by the messaging and how muddy it felt. And maybe that's because love itself can be. At times, it just leans very juvenile while also digging into and unveiling great paradoxes of love and dating at the same time. I had really high expectations for the script, and at times I felt a little let down by it. It felt easy to cast Summer as an insensitive bitch, whereas Zoe's performance, I think, brought so many necessary layers to it. I think you can take this story and decide what it means depending on how you view men, women, and relationships in general. And I think the interpretation of the film can change as you get older too, as well. But I think like
Extremely well said.
Thank you.
And I agree with everything you said.
but what I will highlight about this script in particular is those first few pages, I was so enamored. You and I were both commenting on the fact that like the numbers you see throughout the film are in the script at thick, huge.
Like size 35, 40
Large,
font, big and bold.
I swear the same font. Like it's literally,
Yeah.
it's black, but it's the same font. And like, it immediately makes you go like, okay. Like, and it was one of the most unique ways to show a passage of time.
Yeah.
In a way that it was not confusing at all. But I was so enamored by that. And I honestly think when I think of this script, that will be the number one thing I always think about was like, what an absolutely genius way to reinvent showing time.
Yeah.
And so that I literally like, that was part of the reason the score was so high. I also, for what it was, I also was impressed with the fact that there isn't aliveness to the script. You're playing ball, you're whatever. But I was surprised by like the third act. I was starting to feel a little bit like, okay, guys, like I can only see Tom lose his goddamn mind.
Yeah.
As if he was promised like the world,
Literally.
and, like as if they were engaged for like 5 years and she cheated on him. Like it felt, because again, script babies, if you've not read this script, while it is a great read, Tom's character is even more unhinged as far as his reaction to the breakup.
We're supposed to love him, and in certain ways I kind of do. Like he's a good lead, but he's kind of an anti-hero lead. Like he's not really likable. He's actually kind of insufferable at times. But then you're still kind of along for the ride of it all.
Because you're like, he's a good guy.
The structuring of the story is so innovative and captivating.
And also, by the freaking way, yearning is my shit. I love to yearn. I love to write about yearning and I love to watch yearning. But that shit was in its own category that no longer felt like yearning. It felt like obsession.
Yearning, it's petulance. Yeah. And it's obsession.
And
it's vindication on his part. And he wants to get even with her.
And I felt like the biggest thing that weighed this script down for me was just that I felt like what they were biting off was so interesting to me because it's a movie about fate essentially, and the debate of like, is it real, is it not? I still think the messaging on that is even a little bit muddy, and we can talk about why.
Yeah.
But
I'm a little confused on the overall message of this. Well, I have my own thoughts.
Yeah,
Continue,
but like that feeling of like, I don't know. It just brings up so many things. And so that's essentially where I landed with it, was that I was like, I really enjoyed reading the majority of it. But by the third act, I was starting to get a little bit exhausted by how like wild Tom was acting.
Yeah.
And in the script, we'll go through it with some notes, but like there are some substantial differences between the script and the film.
Huge differences. Like it's
massive.
It's there. Broad strokes are the same, but there is like whether it's from the edit or whatever, but also the script for that they shot from is vastly
different.
Vastly different.
Like Script Babies in the script.
DNA is still the same, but it's
oh yeah,
a completely
that's
different
what's so
beast.
weird is when you read the script, were you conscious of how different the movie actually is?
No, because I haven't seen the movie since when I saw it the premiere. I saw it then back in 2009 and never saw it again.
Same, but what's weird is when I was reading the script, I kind of thought to myself, oh, this is verbatim the film.
Agreed.
And then when I watched the
thought the
film, I
exact
was
same
like,
thing.
oh, there's like massive changes in the sense that, like you
Huge.
said, the feeling is very similar, but we have full-blown events that do and don't happen from both. Like
Yeah.
we like in the script, he never reconnects with her there's no wedding. There's no coworker wedding.
Which
and I think
I loved that addition. And the expectation versus reality split screen, that Mark Webb, girl.
Absolutely.
You fucking did that because that brought like the messaging in the movie's more down than it is in the script.
1000%. And that's, I think, the biggest gripe I had about the script was that the level of juvenile that was weighing it down was what was bumming me out. Was that like, like if I had to read tits one more time?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean.
And I am no prude, you know me.
Yeah.
I am no prude, but it just felt like we're really tackling like arguably the most relatable thing on planet Earth. And yet there were just moments that I just felt like, God, we're really going for some surface level bullshit.
Such a young man's experience of it all. Obviously, that's what the film is also.
Which is relevant, by the way. But
it is. It's relevant, and like this is what kind of the film is about. We're following Tom. It's based off one of the writer's own experiences. So like, I get all that. The messaging that came through to me, especially after watching the movie, the main kind of theme, and I get into this a little bit more in my movie review that I wrote down, is this kind of it's like quarter life coming of age story.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of like you go through something awful and when utilized properly and correctly, even though it's messy, brings you back to yourself, a more authentic and mature version of yourself because you've learned from what you've gone through.
Yep.
And that happens, but it's also not the focus of the story. The focus of the story, because also that's the other thing is like, I don't want to be too harsh on it.
Same.
Because
same,
the
honestly.
script and the movie are so heightened. It is not reality.
No.
It is based off reality.
Yes.
But it is very much satirical.
Yes.
And it's super, super heightened, especially with like the dialogue and stuff. So like some of the things that like kind of altered my script score down, like I also realized like it was kind of purposeful, like how the conversations they have in the card thing. It's like he's saying the most basic shit, and they're like sucking his dick over it because he's the best. Anyway,
but I do think that the film let you in on the fact that we are constantly like Tom is not a trusty narrator.
No.
In this end, and the movie lets you in on that more than the script does.
It's true.
The script kind of leaves you a little bit to go.
He's not a trustworthy narrative.
You know, where I feel like I just felt like the script made you feel a little bit more like you were meant to believe, because one of the things I will get into is that the Mark Webb, the writer, he gives you a lot of Tom's internal experience in a way that you don't typically do with screenwriting, where it can start to feel a little bit cheaty. It worked for this film, I believe. But like, because there was so much of that, I think it would be easy to trick yourself into thinking like, oh, this is just reality.
Yeah.
Whereas like the movie, you're like, oh, this is Tom's POV.
Yeah.
Most of the time. And then when his sister's like, hey,
She's like the straight man of it. She's like the
well,
voice
and
of
when
reason.
she's like, I think you should, next time you think about it, like think about the other stuff. That was one of my favorite parts of the movie
Yeah.
because even though they kind of barely touch on the fact that he is remembering it differently, they still do, which I think without it, I would hate this movie. Do you know what I mean? Like
without
you
the
need
reality
to
check
face
for Tom,
the reality
'Cause
check.
that's the other part. Is like I do think the writers were aware of that he's kind of insufferable.
Yeah.
Because they have the Rachel character.
Yes.
Getting through to him, and then in the movie they hit that home with the reality versus expectations versus
Yes.
reality of it all at
Yes.
the wedding, which is really nice. Or after the wedding when they're going to that party. Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Your movie score?
I'll get into my movie score. My movie score is 7.9 out of 10.
Yep. I feel that.
And back in the day, I would have been 10s across the board. For me, I remember loving this movie. This time around, as you'll see, I'm very conflicted. I were supposed to love Tom, and I just don't. And I'm fully on Summer's side. So, and then
Team
usually,
Summer.
if you are a Script Daddy loyalist, you know that I'm usually much more thorough in my assessments with how I feel and what I experienced. You'll see that this is a bit different than my other assessments. Like I don't really fully know where I land with it.
Color
So-
me intrigued,
So
darling.
if this is your first time, go listen to some other ones to see like how I usually do it. But yeah, it was a very interesting experience because remember, I'm coming off of considering this a 10 script
Yeah.
when I first watched this.
Okay.
First watched the movie. So I said, I'm conflicted about this movie and I didn't expect to be. While it's ultimately a story about coming back to yourself after heartbreak and how we must experience destruction in our life in order to rebuild a newer, truer version, I can't escape this feeling that it's also kind of a white man's opus. Something bad happens to Tom and he makes it everyone else's problem. While all of this is handled with a hefty dose of tongue-in-cheek dry comedy, watching this film with a 2025 perspective is a far cry from how I felt after watching it back when it first came out. I don't think we're meant to hate Summer per se, but we are meant to root for Tom. And this time around, I found myself almost completely siding with Summer and wanting to jump through the screen to defend her. All along, she said she didn't want anything serious with Tom, yet he built the narrative around their situationship that he wanted to believe, not the one based on actually trusting who she told him she is. Thankfully, we get a rather nice bittersweet wrap-up at the end in which Summer validates Tom's core beliefs, but I love the choice to not have her back down from or apologize for her own true self. That's the thing.
That was also a great description. I didn't feel like that was a big departure because that was a great assessment.
Hate Tom. I do not like him as a lead. I was more on board in the script because the script has such energy. It brought me along the ride. But watching him in a movie, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt is great.
Yeah, he is.
Might be one of the best on-screen portrayals of someone being drunk I've actually ever seen. He is actually he's good and he's such a likable, charismatic actor. But even Joseph Gordon-Levitt couldn't make me root for Tom.
And what's
I was
interesting
like,
about
shut the
that
fuck
is,
up. I want to tape your mouth, put you in the back of a car, and fucking throw you off a river.
But what I
throw you
think
off a cliff.
But what I think is interesting about that is I actually do think that he played it the exact way he was meant to play it.
Yes, yeah.
That's what makes it so interesting. Is that he does have that weird energy where he's like handsome and he's sweet and like he's the kind of guy when you see him on screen you do kind of like root for him. But yeah.
You know what it is? What else I realized while watching the movie is that so many times throughout my life, before I got with my long-term love of my life mans that I'm with now, I have been the Summer where I wanted connection, I wanted fun and stuff, and I was always told I was leading people on, even though when I told people,
girl.
I don't want anything serious, but I like what's going on here. Let's have fun and do it. And then people fall in deeper. And then I'm left to be the heavy to be like, hey, actually, I don't want anything more from this. Granted, yes, I was like emotionally unavailable at that time. And I've also been on the other side of things where I'm the Tom wanting something more from someone who can't give it to me. And that is a thing all of its own. But I have a lot of empathy for the person who's in Summer's shoes because I've been there so many times having to be the fucking heavy, having to be the fucking asshole who led you on because my version of communicating, people think that's that's a different thing. The amount of times I've been told that I've been flirting with someone when I'm
Me
literally
too.
just having a conversation, an engaging conversation, and you think that this is me coming on to you.
Oh, you and I have talked about this at length, but I have been accused of that my entire life. And I'm like, sorry that I have a really good sense of humor and I ask a lot of questions because I'm interested.
Sorry you love
in
me and want to
life.
fuck me.
No, but that is, you know what's interesting is I felt like the Libra in me had to keep bouncing back and forth between trying to like justify both of their experiences. But I will say, like, this time watching the film, I was actually like annoyed with my former self that I ever had a bone to pick with Summer, in the sense that like what I got from her this time was a woman who was actually trying very hard to
make it work.
To make it work.
She really wanted, because she's like, this is a nice guy. He's great. For all intents and purposes, I should like this. But like that spark isn't there. That thing, that je ne sais quoi, just isn't there. But I will say, my own personal experiences and takes on this aside, I will come back to, from a technical standpoint,
Yes.
both the script and the movie are fantastic.
Absolutely.
To pull this off on the
100%.
page and for a movie to come together in any sort of way that's not absolute trash is a miracle in this industry.
And
With all the moving pieces that have to fit in nicely, I will say that Script Baby is like, I do want to get
Agreed.
this
I
script.
agree.
This script is deserving of the love that a lot of
Absolutely.
people have for it
Yep.
and towards it. These are just our own feelings.
No, but that is important to say, because it like, again, it is a great script.
It is a great
It's a great
script. It's a fun read.
The movie benefited from the changes that they made, but again, when you look at a script for what it actually is, which is a document in which a film is made from, it obviously inspired what it turned into.
Yeah.
And these
are good writers, talented writers.
Absolutely talented writers. And again, the fact that then what they were able to pull off with the movie with, again, animation, narration, flashback, they pulled off so much and they did it so well. It's more so just, I think, like the messaging that gets where you get in the weeds a little bit. And why? Because okay, I'm going to stop for a second. My score is 8.1. And what's so funny is I was at 7.9 before we started, and then I changed it to 8.1. The main reason I'm giving it an 8.1 versus 7.9 is because my script score being 7.7, I felt like there needed to be a bigger gap between the two, because I really was quite impressed with for how much I actually did enjoy reading the script while I was reading it, then watching the movie, all the changes that they made, I found myself going like, damn, like, well done. That was the smarter choice. That was the more effective choice.
Yeah.
For both of them, to be honest, because I do think in the script, it is a little bit easier to, again, subtly, I am not going to pretend like they made Summer a bitch on the page. They didn't, but there's more circumstances where you can feel yourself going like, well, why is she being like that? Whereas in the movie, I just didn't feel that way. I just felt like she was a really good person, much like Tom, who was doing her best and was following intrigue and being very transparent about where she was at, and was honest when it was no longer there for her, and was so... But you could just tell, like, when they reconnect in the movie, like, you can see on her face that she has a deep care for this person.
Yeah.
And I honestly think her only real misstep was that she doesn't tell him when they're at the wedding that she's with someone, but she doesn't cross a line with him. They're just like reconnecting and talking and having a good time. But the fact that she then invites him to the party and like, at no point mentioned she was very much in a serious relationship, and then she gets engaged between those two things.
That's a bit.
That is, but that humanized her, where I'm like, she's flawed too. Of course she's flawed, but not in the way most people are perceiving this.
And when he's like, "Why did you dance with me? Why, if you didn't tell me you were with someone, why didn't you?" She goes, "Because I wanted to." And I was like,
and I love that, because again, they weren't like dry humping on the freaking. They were like. Again, from a bird's eye view, we're just two people who have a shared history who are enjoying each other's company.
Yeah.
But again, from Tom's perspective, it was all about, I want the thing I no longer have, and this means it's that.
You know what? I think the overarching theme of this movie, more so than like a return to yourself, which is very much there, is expectations versus reality.
The stories we tell.
Yeah, exactly. And how we build out a whole story in our head that might not be, it's based off of one version of reality, what we're perceiving, but that's never the full version. There's always two sides. It's the old cliche, there's always two sides to every coin.
So the two of my most beloved friends. So I'm just gonna share this really fast because I think it's relevant to the conversation. So my friend John, when I asked him, I voice noted him. I was like, "Hey, Were you one of the people that loved this movie? If so, why? And like, has that changed forever? And he was like, he was me back and he's like, so funny because every time I see a clip from this movie, I think of you because I think of how you felt about it. And I was like, oh God. I literally was immediately like, uh-oh. And he was like, I'm going to paraphrase, so it's not exactly what you said. He's like, but I remember you saying that you felt a little weirded out by how much guys at that time were obsessed with it, and that you felt like the movie highlighted that a lot of times women can experience like love and while they're in it, and how most men don't really feel it until it's gone and then they want it back. And first I had to tuck my hair behind my ear. I don't necessarily think that's fully the messaging of this story because he wanted her when he had her as well. But the absolute behavior when he loses her is insane. But I was like, I was like, oh, that is a very strong opinion that I had. So much so that you think of it
19-year-old Corley was tapped in.
But he was like, he was saying, he's like, I haven't seen it since. He's like, I went on like a Reddit rabbit hole and was seeing how like a lot of the take is young men feeling as though she owed him something.
Yes. Yeah.
And he's like, which kind of then gets into like how a lot of men see women as like property or as like a thing that like, again, you owe whatever. And I was like, that was always my fear, was that it's like even a woman who is so open and vocal and communicative and tries and all that stuff, like
Truly
it's still not
independent.
enough.
Truly knows, she actually knows herself. Tom doesn't know himself and he couldn't keep up.
And then my dear friend Miles, I loved this. He was like, when it first came out, he's like, I like over-identified with Tom. He goes, I over-identified with like the lover boy of like hopeless romantic and then feeling, and he's like, and I was going through a brutal breakup at the time. And he's like, so it felt like such a resonance for me of like, oh my God, yeah, like, see, like, why can't we just have whatever? He's like, but since then, like getting older, experiencing actual love, actual partnership, actual whatever, he was like, oh my God, like complete flip. But I thought that was so interesting because again, I don't think there is anything wrong with if you're at that age seeing Tom like having like heart sick over someone. Like that's not the issue. I think his behavior is alarming after the fact, but I thought it was really beautiful to hear him be like, but now I'm like, dear God, like, you know what I mean? Like that's an insane, like Summer did absolutely nothing wrong.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was interesting because I was like, that was, I think what freaked me out so much when it came out was that it felt like every dude I know was like, oh my God, 500 is the best movie ever. And I'm like, I don't feel like you're saying that because your takeaway was that Summer's great.
No, you know why? Because the very beginning of the script and the very beginning of the movie.
Say it, baby, say it.
From a style,
I'm so glad you're bringing this up.
Perspective of screenwriting, I love the first 3 pages of the script.
Don't love the bitch,
it's exactly
but love everything else.
How the movie starts. So it's 3 tiny preambles. It says, note, the following is a work of fiction. Any resemblance to the persons living or dead is purely coincidental. Page 2. Especially you, Jenny Beckman. Page 3, bitch. So
I hate the use of bitch, but
when it first came out, I thought that was the most hilarious thing I've ever seen on bitch. So the thing is that
also I just want to say bitch is one of my favorite words, but so I'm not even trying to be like that. I just, for the movie's sake though, to me, it ruins the whole messaging.
Yes, exactly. It undercuts where we get to with Tom at the very end. And one could argue it's because the beginning of the script, you're entering it in it with Tom's mentality.
That's literally exactly what John said. He goes, you could argue it, but it's a weak argument.
But it's a weak argument because that is an overview of the script. This is an intro into the script. And so that kind of preamble would be like from the narrator's point of view. And that's setting the tone for the whole thing where it's like, at the end of the day, the takeaway is that Summer's a bitch. And like Tom got through it and got back to himself. He pulled himself up by his little bootstraps and drew some fucking buildings on a chalk wall. And then, but Summer, I hope she's happy. She's good, but she's still a bitch because she fucked me over.
Which again, that's where you get into like the meta of it all.
That I fully acknowledge that take is a bit reductive, but that is also how I feel.
Well, but again, to me, what saved the movie a little for me was the ending of going like, okay, so we're coming back to fate. That despite the fact, so Tom has been through it. He decided it was all bullshit. Even Summer calls him out on it. And again, I have some feelings about that we'll get into. But nonetheless, we end on a hopeful note, which is that this movie at the end is at least trying to nudge you into fate is real and you'll find your person because it's meant to be.
Yeah.
But knowing that this is a movie, and the movie knows it's a movie, by the way, the movie is always reminding you this is a movie. This is not a movie where you're supposed to forget that you're watching a movie.
Arguably the most charming aspect of the whole thing is that
Agreed.
it knows what it is, leans in, it has
it's a movie,
fun.
which is why that editor's note at the beginning fucks with me because you're like, no, I get the whole this is the beginning of his POV, but you're also like, but you're not hiding that this is a movie.
Yeah.
Which means to me, the perspective at the end should be the same, not the same as the beginning, but the knower. There's a knower zoomed out here.
Yeah.
That feels like, why would you keep that at the beginning?
Because
it's a finished document. It's a finished
written in 2006, made in 2009, and culture has changed so much since. Because even back then, like that was.
But why would you want to muddle your messaging like that?
14, 15 years
If you
ago?
want someone's takeaway to be that it is ultimately about you're meant to find the people you're meant to find. Why would you then have the beginning of the film essentially be putting a middle finger up to that exact message?
Because we as a culture, we're still fucking demeaning women on the front pages of magazines back then. 2009, that's like Britney Spears, her whole crash out and it being splashed in her performing at the VMAs and everyone calling her fat and all this shit. And like the culture of how we view and portray women has changed in so many ways that darkness is still there. I don't know if we'll ever fully escape it with mass media.
Yeah.
But in a post-Me Too world, things are very different with what people are willing to put up with and how we are perceiving women.
Well, it's just
and how
strange to me because it's like, again, when I was reading it in the script, I was like, oh, fun. Again, I don't ever love hearing bitch out of like a straight man ever.
No.
But that being said, whatever. But I was like, oh, but truly, when I watched the film, it bothered me more because I was like, I like the movie better ending the way it does without knowing that it starts that way from like.
Agreed.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, well, I guess we should get into some script notes.
I think we better.
I will say, though, I do respect and appreciate the gender flip of this. I feel like how many movies have we seen where the girl is absolutely falling over herself?
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
I do
did
love that
really appreciate.
And he gets to be the mess.
He gets to be the mess. And I will say one thing that John pointed out that I thought was interesting was that he was like, he's like. He said he watches a lot of rom-coms and he was like, I can't think of any other movie where a male character, the scene where he's like, the birds are with him and and he's just like having the happiest walk of his life and whatever. He's like, I've never seen another movie where it allows a man to be that like full of joy and silliness, like on their own about like falling, like that, like, and he was like, which then he goes, I could see though the flip of that then turning like that kind of like toxic male perspective of like, and then you had to take it from her. So he was like, the flip side is scary.
Yeah.
But he's like, but on one hand, it was kind of refreshing to see that they allowed a male character to be so overwhelmingly joyous about the idea of falling in love. And I was like, that is interesting. That's what I mean is like, there's so part of why this is a great film is because there is so much to discuss.
There is. Here's the thing, the difference between the script and screen with that part though.
Yeah.
In the script, he has that whole Ferris Bueller, birds flying around, dancing, having fun after a simple kiss. In the movie, he's on cloud nine because it just fucked.
True.
So that's where it's like, he's not in love with her. He's convincing himself he's in love with her. He's infatuated with her and he just had sex with her for the first time. But
I don't know that he's ever in love with her.
No, I think he's just, he wants what he can't have. She's this elusive creature and she's something to acquire and to put on a shelf and be shiny, perfect girlfriend.
Yeah.
Also, this is like this is one of my movie notes, but like this might be well, maybe not the most, because Juno might be the most, but like one of the most hipster movies in the world.
Also one of the most overdone acting class scenes ever. Do you have any idea how many? The scene on the fucking bench at the end with the two of them.
Oh my God.
I cannot tell you how many times, countless times I've seen this in acting classes. Countless.
That makes sense.
And by the way, I'm going to give those two their flowers because brutal.
Yeah.
And not an easy scene. Not as easy as you might think.
I really do hope you're happy.
Only say it if you mean it.
That was my unfair Zoe Deschanel impression.
Oh, but it was cute. It's like
Um,
Zoe and Kermit had a baby.
what?
The
no-
first thing I have was just, I said, I do love the editor's note. I was like, I could live without the bitch. I was like, but nonetheless, I think it's so fun and striking to just call you
It
out right
sets
away.
the tone. The style on the page is great. It lets you know
Totally.
we're in for an off-kilter story.
It's that, and then it's so quickly going into the number in the large font. I was like,
Oh, it's
sign
great.
me up.
And yeah, a
Because
lot of
it-
traditionalists would be like, "You can't do that. Don't do that. That's gonna say that's."
And once again,
they're not
script
gonna take you
babies,
serious as a writer.
this is that argument for you don't do things like this until you have a level of confidence in
Yeah,
in story structure, in
level
formatting.
of confidence and skill.
And skill. But then once you do, this is the
Fucking
kind of gorgeous,
play.
this is the fucking kind of gorgeous shit you can do.
Yeah.
That everyone can agree upon. Absolutely gorge.
Yeah,
But my first note, otherwise, was page 4. I said, I love this, and it really feels symbolic of how I think a lot of men interpret this film. When the narrator says, this belief stemmed from early exposure to sad British pop music and a total misreading of the movie The Graduate.
Yes.
I love that because again, as much as we are pointing out the fact that it's like Tom is and like how she looks like the villain, the movie does, both in the script and on screen, they do remind you that Tom has completely unrealistic expectations. It's not, you don't get hit over the head with it, but
Yeah.
like, for instance, that moment is important for us to be set up as a child. This kid has unrealistic, and the fact that he misinterpreted The Graduate, like Miles was like, that is brilliant.
Yeah.
Because The Graduate, and then I love that
how
they
can
have
you
the clip of
misinterpret The Graduate?
yeah, that you see that, but I love that they chose that was the movie that
Yeah.
they're like watching, and that
Yeah.
she's a mess because she's seeing on screen that look that she's feeling internally, which was like, this isn't right.
Yeah.
I loved that. Anyway, so
Yeah,
that was my
that's
first
great.
page note. What was yours?
My first on page 3. I have 2 on page 3. There's a line of action that I loved. It says, Tom looks at her the way every woman wants to be looked at. I liked that. That
Yeah.
was nice. And then Tom's character description I thought was nice. It says, Tom, dark hair and blue eyes, wears a t-shirt under his sports coat and Adidas tennis shoes to balance out the corporate dress code. He looks pretty bored. I just think like it's fun.
I think one thing the
kinda-
script does very well is it's very, I feel like people might interpret this in a negative way, but I actually mean it as the complete opposite. It's very approachable. Like it is
Yeah.
very, despite all the formatting changes,
It is.
it is very approachable and very easy to read, which is one of its strong suits.
Yeah, it is super digestible, easy. And then I have a notes from page 1 to 5. I said the energy on the page is palpable. It feels like a classic movie and immediately gets you on board for the unique structuring of the story. From the narrator, superimposed numbers indicating the day, to the calling of shots, such as the split screen moment at the bottom of page 4. Everything feels intentional yet cheeky, allowing us to trust the writer immediately. Great reminder that style can inform substance when executed frictionlessly.
You better tell them.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
so often, like not so often. What am I saying? It's I realizing how I get very hyperbolic very quickly, and I'm trying to rein that out. But I feel like when you are a bit more green as a writer, it's easy to put style over substance and to think that style is just going to carry you through. But this script is a good reminder that the two can inform each other, and they
Absolutely.
more than that they should.
They should.
Um,
That is 100% one of its strong suits.
yeah. My next on page 5.
I don't have one for a little bit.
It's just the narrator says, "You should know up front, this is not a love story." I love that. Like again, all these different ways that they undercut what there's so many times where they set something up and then they pull the rug out from under you
Yep.
immediately after, and that follows you out throughout the script
Yeah.
and in the film. It's very fun. It's again that expectation versus reality of it all, which is a universal human experience.
Absolutely.
Which like the more that we're talking about, the more I'm seeing like, okay, yeah, like this.
That's what
the
I
script in the
mean.
movie does have such a secret sauce to it, and it is so unique and singular.
part of me wonders
Which is-
is
yeah.
the are and both, I don't remember if John or Miles said this, but like part of it is it like are people the problem here? Is this movie actually a relatively like is the movie itself fine?
Yeah.
And is it more so that people's interpretation is more so the problem where like I don't know.
I mean, I think there's a bit of that, but like just from my perspective as being 36, nearly 37, Tom's insufferable.
Let me be very
he's
clear.
funny, but like he is insufferable.
Nothing would have made me flee the scene quicker than a Tom back in my dating days. Like, I mean, the absolute ick that would be radiating off him. And I hate to say that because I was such a commitment phobe before my husband, but like, honest, like, oof.
But yeah, but that's also also an honest portrayal of a guy in his 20s.
Yeah.
Like, we're all fucking messy and crazy and not emotionally regulated and let small things spin us the fuck out. Maybe
Absolutely.
I never got to the point where I was
Breaking.
smashing plates and destroying things, but I definitely did a lot of drugs about it. My next one's at bottom of 8, top of 9.
Go girl.
Bottom of
go.
8, top of 9. I said I'm obsessed with Tom and Summer's dialogue at the diner. It says, Summer, she says, this thing, this whatever it is, you and me, do you think this is normal? Tom says, I don't know. Who cares about normal? I'm happy. Are you happy? Summer says, you're happy? Tom says, you're not. And then Summer says, all we do is argue. And Tom says, that's such a lie. I like that. Like their like repartee is really fun.
Yeah.
And that also you get more context later on for that. And again, all of it keeps coming back to this expectation versus reality. He has a skewed expectation and perception of the reality that's before him, when she all along has been like this open book.
And that's what I mean by the movie
he
doesn't.
expect, he undercuts women. Tom undercuts women as a character because he doesn't expect them to know what they want and to trust them that they could be fucking telling him the truth because he thinks he's God's fucking gift.
Yes. But further to the point of the first thing that you said, the movie and the script do both point that out, though. The movie more so, where it's like, yo, Tom, like, yo, Tom. Like, and again, I do think the most powerful version of that is when he talks to his sister and she's like, when next time you go back and think about it, like, think about the other stuff, where I enjoyed that they literally showed some of the exact same clips, and it's in the script too. You're seeing, in fact, it's like a little bit more drawn out in the script, and a little bit more aggressive. Like, it's a little bit more obvious in the script, the scenes that like that they're not doing well, that it makes it even more kind of, I think the movie chose to make it a tiny bit more subtle so that you didn't feel like Tom was a literal batshit crazy person, that it was more so she was kind of showing like little cues that like things weren't working, whereas the script really like puts you more at it. But
next on page 10.
Go.
I said, great action alert. So on page 10, it says,
Alert.
Alert. Great action alert. It says, without another word, she goes back to her pancakes. Tom watches her eat like this is the worst travesty in the history of humankind. Summer, mouthful. You're so right. These are great. Tom looks at his food in disgust. He may never eat again.
So good.
It's just,
it's perfect because it's how it's played too.
Yeah, exactly. And like that directly addressing the reader in that way, like tiny moment of breaking the fourth wall. I love when it's done like frictionlessly like that.
There's quite a bit of it in this script.
A lot.
He does it a lot.
It's very stylish.
And normally I wouldn't love that, but again, because of how much is going on in this script, it actually does benefit the reader
and
to have a little bit more.
Up.
Yeah.
Because like, even though I don't like it these days, the bitch on page 3 and like that tag in it with bitch, that sets you up to like know that we're going to get a lot of these moments. A lot of cheek in here. Because you could have just ended it with
cheek alert.
Cheek alert. I'm a squirrel. But yeah, because I felt this when I was reading it, but now that we're discussing it more, like it is, they really do set you up to be in the correct mindset to digest all this nicely, because like I think I'd still like these moments without that little preamble, but it just, when you're in that mental headspace,
it's like the juxtaposition of it.
To expect the juxtaposition and to expect the contrast of these things, and for that to be part of the comedy.
Totally.
It's really nice. Page 12 is my next one.
Girl, go.
Okay. When's your first one?
14.
Oh, okay. Page 12, I said the close-up and dialogue combo on this page as Tom's describing Summer and why he loves her is so good. It plays into the energetic tone of the storytelling so nicely while also making it more engaging for the reader. The script is a must read. Granted, this is when I still would say it's a must read, but my notes are going to be a lot more praising because this was a 10 out of 10 for me when I was reading it. But on page 12, it's when he's like, I love her smile. I love her hair. I love her knees. I love this. And the way it's formatted on the page is nice because it breaks it up for the eye a lot, but in a way that adds to the overall feeling on the page. There would be other scripts where they would do this where I'd be like, oh, it'd be nicer to have this blended in more.
Mm-hmm.
But
no,
for a movie like this,
bum, bum, bum,
it's like bomb, bomb, bomb. It is almost, instead of like, I don't know how to fully explain
it's almost
this.
like editing in a movie, but done on the page.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're seeing it in your mind's eye, it's like less like a movie and almost like cartoonish or like storybookish in a way.
Yeah.
It's very interesting, but it's cool.
Once again, though, very much a reminder that you are in a movie.
Yes.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In a great way. Page 14, I put, I loved this action line. It says, and in walks this girl, Summer. We've met her before, but Tom hasn't. This is the first time. His eyes go wide, and from that moment on, he can't take them off her. Again, this was one of those things where this one thing that this script is very interesting is that it makes sure you're getting all the information you need at all times. It doesn't ever fully rely on you to remember anything, which again, normally I don't always love that because sometimes I'm like, give me a little more credit as a reader, but we're flipping around so much
back and forth,
that I actually appreciated because by page 14, we have already done some back and forth that it was nice as the reader to be told, we've met her before, but Tom hasn't at this point in time. And it was subtle, but I really liked it because it just was like, oh, there's no room for me to wander and go like, wait, like, and I really, again, small, but I really liked it.
Yeah. I mean, because it is, without those moments, it could make the script reading experience much more muddled and kind of confusing to the point of being like annoying.
Yeah.
So like, it's good that you have and all of it's also very like economical action for the most part. Like it's not super long-winded. It's nicely formatted.
Yeah.
There's a lot of space for the eye on the page. Cause I think whether this was conscious or not, they just knew how to present the vision for this so clearly on the page.
Yeah.
Which is like I do think if you haven't read the script, you got to read the script because it is like, again, to pull this off is pretty fucking awesome.
I agree.
My next one's on page 35. Do you have one before?
Yeah, I just was mentioning on page 15 through 16, I said the dialogue feels oddly juvenile and it took me out a little bit. I'm curious if this dialogue's in the movie. It's slightly different. The movie really indulges like boobs and tits a lot, or excuse me, the script does.
Yeah.
Where again, like whatever, but it's like sometimes it makes you go like, oh, like
it's so male.
Yeah, so male and like so it's 15 and 16 are when Tom's trying to work and his friend Mackenzie's like, do you hear about the new girl? Who? The new girl, Summer, in Vance's office. I heard she's a bitch from hell. And again, I do think this is slightly not satirical, but it's like it is. I think there is I'd like to believe that this was written with the awareness that they both sound ridiculous.
I think so,
but it's borderline.
Yeah,
but like
especially like it towards the end when it's like when the boss. Which is, I actually love this line, even though it's a little jarring when he's like, you've been different lately. He's like, oh, have I? And he's like, yeah, you wrote this recently. It's like, roses are red, violets are blue. It's actually, fuck you, whore.
Yeah. And he's like, shoppers around Valentine's Day aren't really, like, it's actually very good.
Like, there's like really aggressive verbiage in here, but I think, to what you just said, I think we are supposed to see that this is heightened and ridiculous, that we're not supposed to find this endearing.
And like his friend Mackenzie's always kind of used as like worse than Tom, so that we're meant to be like juxtaposed to him. We're meant to think because his other friend who's been in the long-term relationship, we never see her in the film.
Yeah.
But like he's meant to be like calm, cool, and collected, arguably more mature.
Paul?
Yeah, Paul, because Paul's been in a relationship forever, blah, blah, blah. But then like Mackenzie's kind of like our gross guy. Like we're just kind of like,
your messy
okay,
friend.
yeah. That kind of allows Tom a better stance in juxtaposition.
He's in between the two.
But then like, he's like, Patel tried to talk to her in the room. She was totally not having it. And Tom's like, maybe she was just in a hurry. And he's like, or she's some uppity, better than everyone, super skank. And Tom's like, damn. And he's like, I know, she's pretty hot. And then Tom's like, that makes me so mad. Why is it pretty girls always think they can treat people like crap and get away with it? That's still in the film. And then Tom's like just because she has high cheekbones and soft skin, and Mackenzie's like, and really good teeth. And then Tom says, and maybe the world's most perfect breasts, just because of that stuff. And she can rock around like she's the center of the universe. And Mackenzie goes, women. And Tom goes, you know what? Screw her. I haven't even met her and I can't stand her already. They kept a little bit of that, but they got rid of some of it because it's more like, I think it does more of what it intended to do, which was just like, they're already making a story about her once again. And then that story melts away the second she comments on the music he's listening to. And then in that moment, he decides this is my person, which is all crazy.
It is insane.
But I just felt like it was like the first time on the script, reading the script, where I was like, oh, I can't quite tell if this is being like satirical or if we're meant to like it just read strange.
It does. Yeah. And I think in certain ways,
let me put it this way. If a woman wrote that, I would have been like, she's trying to point out the ridiculousness of this. But because a man wrote it, it made me go, are you also pointing out the ridiculousness of this? Or is this like a real commentary on how you think these
I think it's
men
yes,
would be?
It's a yes and situation. I think
there's no way to know.
Yes, it's heightened and a bit satirical, but also we are meant to see a little bit of truth and feel a little sympathetic and and agree with them a little bit. Granted in a heightened way.
For sure.
But I keep contextualizing it in the time in which it was written.
Yeah. Yes.
So fucking different back then.
Yeah.
And I feel like reading this back then, a guy would have read that and been like, oh yeah, fuck yeah. And there are still men who would read that today and still think the same thing, but when's your next one?
I don't have one until 38.
Okay. I have one on 38 as well. I wonder if it's the same. Page 35. I said, great line of action when Tom and Summer are connecting at the karaoke bar. It says they share another laugh and then it gets quiet in that good way.
Love that. It leaped off the page. It leapt. It leapt. It said, hi, hello, I'm gorgeous, darling.
Yes.
Because we all know that feeling. Also, I liked that scene in the script, and I loved that scene in the film.
Yeah,
her delivery, she just tapped into this gorgeous mystery woman, but in a way where, again, if you're a grown-up, you go, this is just a woman who like knows who she is, and there's something really attractive about that. But again, when you're reading it in the script, you're like, oh, you're kind of trying to figure her out. But like, I felt like the dialogue for Summer, often it would be easy for you to let the worst get you and always assume, again, she's saying things from a bitchy place. But I felt like it was as if Zoe always worked against or worked in juxtaposition of the line. Like she would say lines that would read alone kind of bitchy, but she would say it so lighthearted in a way that like almost made you go like, oh.
I heard in like nonchalant.
So nonchalant. She's not making I guess in the script, it felt like she was always trying to make a point of something. And I didn't feel that way at all in the movie. It felt like everything she was saying was just kind of like coming to her and she was just sharing it because she was never like hitting points. It was more just like she was just sharing how she felt. And it always felt kind of like light and truthful to her. And whereas it didn't feel that way for some reason on the page. And maybe that was just like my own judgment. I don't know.
I see what you mean. On the page, she definitely comes off as more as like the cool, aloof girl. Like
who always has something to say though. Like I'm always gonna let you know.
Yeah.
Whereas I just didn't feel that way in the movie.
No, yeah. She's much more casual and like kind of lives in her body like naturally, how we're supposed to take her.
Yeah.
And she really did bring, she embodied the character very nicely.
Yeah.
What's your page 38?
This is so tiny. Page 38. I said, I really love the simplicity of it, but it adds a lot of energy to the script. It literally just says exterior street morning. It's the greatest morning of all time, ! Subtle, but like, I loved that. I loved the cue in of like, because this is so much of Tom's POV, it's like, there is when you're at that point in the script, you're like happy for him. You're like, fuck yeah, you're having the best morning of your life. Good for fucking you. Like you like this girl. And we all know the feeling when you really like someone and you kiss or you whatever. And it's like, like it captured it so well. And then I think that feeling is absolutely there when you're watching it. But I was just struck by like, I'm always kind of amazed by the things I'm most struck by in a script are so simple.
Yeah. Simple and effective. Yeah. Cause in the script, this is the morning after the karaoke scene, and in the script, they go outside the karaoke bar, and the drunk Mackenzie's like, "Hey, Tom's into you. He likes you, whatever." And then Mackenzie gets taken away, And then they had this little, Summer's like, oh, do you like me? And whatever. And so they part ways. And then in the script, Summer comes back to Tom, turns him around and kisses him. And then we cut to the morning after and he's having the best day of his life. But the change in the movie is far superior.
It's far superior. And
it happens later in the story,
okay,
too.
and can I tell you why I like the difference?
One.
So in the script, the fact that she says to him, I am not looking, like, I'd like to be friends. That's what they keep saying. She's like, I'd like to be your friend. Would you like to be my friend? He's like, yeah. And she's like,
Outside
so we're
the
just
karaoke
friends,
bar,
blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then leaves and then turns out and kisses him. Now, there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But
that's in the script.
That's in the script. There's nothing wrong with that innately. But it's also very easy to then go, oh, see, she's saying one thing and doing another, which is why I thought,
yes.
Which is why I thought the choice of the film, it lingers on her saying it, but there's this flirty magnetic energy between them when they're talking about it.
Yes.
She's looking at him like, you could try to kiss me. Like she's literally saying, I would like to be your friend. And you can feel the truth of that. She's not saying only your friend, but she's saying, I'm interested in you, whatever. And she's looking at him and you feel that feeling where you go, he could, and he's choosing not to, probably out of fear, whatever. And then she just walks away. And I thought, again, from the standpoint of trying to make this a little bit more fair, I so preferred that to the script where it felt like already we can't trust this girl.
Yeah.
She's saying one thing and then turning around and doing the opposite.
Exactly. Mark Webb, girl, you saw this story and you were like, let's make it more holistic. Because then in the movie, when she kisses him I don't know if we're supposed to think it's the next day right after the karaoke. I think so.
I think so. I love that
They're
scene.
in the copy room. They're both there making copies. And
it's so
Summer just stops,
yummy.
Turns, walks over and kisses Tom. And I loved it because it gave her so much more agency over her choices.
Yes.
She knows what she wants. She's decisive and she fucking goes for it. And again, like you just said, I didn't fully connect that though, that it for her character, it's so much more powerful to show, and for Tom's arc, to show that he is building out a narrative around this that's not based in reality the entire time. When in the script, that does undercut that, because when she kisses him, outside the karaoke bar, that totally makes her seem like she's just this
it's like
wishy-washy, leading him on kind of girl.
Truly. Whereas again, I was like, I know I have a note in here when it comes to the movie where I was like, it also set up for an absolutely delicious scene in the copy room. I loved it. It's way more memorable.
Loved it.
That you get to feel this tension between them. Because again, she doesn't say, I only want to be your friend. She just says, it's like her way of kind of like saying like, I'm intrigued by you. Whatever. Like it's a lot of people have had a conversation similar before, especially if they work together. So there's an awareness of like, whatever. But the fact that you get to feel this like palpable thing between them in the copy room, and that she goes over and does it, and it's like sexy, but it's awkward, and it's so much more memorable.
Mm-hmm. It is.
That I was like, I just preferred it across it was like 10 out of 10 for me, because I was like, we can trust her more, and it made for a far more dynamic scene, the next one, because you're going, are they? Oh my God, they're gonna. Yeah. Whereas like, you feel that way, and then you're almost kind of like, ooh, when they don't.
Yeah.
Right beforehand. So yeah, I just really loved that
Lure.
shift. Lure.
Yeah, my note on page 38 was about that whole sequence of him in the morning, and that it's on the page. It's very charming and energetic, because I did like in the script, even though I liked the change from script to screen of having Summer walk away at the karaoke bar and not kiss him. In the script, though, when she does kiss him, and the very next day he's like walking on the moon and like having the best day ever. I loved the simplicity and kind of innocence of having the best day ever after kissing a girl that you like.
I actually do really like
and
that.
I like that because it made me feel a little bit more endeared to Tom in that moment. Also, the way it's written on the pages really nicely. I'll just read the whole little sequence for the script babies. It's page 38. It says, exterior street morning. It's the greatest morning of all time. Tom walks down the street, or more accurately, Tom struts down the street. He's pointing at people as he passes, winking, doing a little shuffle. He's the man. He checks out his reflection in a window. A young Paul Newman stares back. I thought of you when I saw that.
My man, my number one man.
Polly
My number
Paul.
one man.
People wave as he passes. They clap. They give him a thumbs up. A parade forms behind him. The postman, a police officer, the hot dog vendor, Ronald McDonald, and Mayor McCheese. Everyone loves Tom today. Hall and Oates themselves walk with Tom singing the song. Cars stop at crosswalks to let Tom go by. The drivers also pump their fists in celebration of Tom's achievement last night. He walks on, the man. He notices the sidewalk lights up every time he touches the pavement, like in Billie Jean. Cartoon birds fly onto Tom's shoulder. He smiles and winks at them. Like,
I mean, full.
that moment on the page,
So fun.
because like you're fully in the motion. We're on page 38 now. We're in the story.
Yep.
We are on board with the out of the box formatting and the structuring, and it's very like effervescent feeling, the energy. And then you get to this scene
And
where there's cartoon birds
Yeah.
and a whole band, and like
And
it's
Paul
just
Newman.
it's very, it just plays into the whole tone of it that this is not real life.
Yeah.
And we're not supposed to think it is. And yeah,
Or
it's-
we're going to take all those internal things you feel and we're going to externalize them
yeah.
so that you can like feel that giddiness from the
Mhm.
most ridiculous sight, but you'll get it internally the way you're meant to.
So fun.
So fun.
Lurvy lurv. My next is on pages 41 to 42.
Okay, go. I don't have one until 57.
Okay. Pages 41 to 42. I said, I love that. Oh. This is a change from script to screen, babies.
Pow, pow.
And this is one of the few moments that I prefer what they did in the script.
You better tell it to
I'm gonna
us.
tell-
and da- da-
I
da- da-
gotta
da-
I gotta
tell it to
tell
us.
him. So this is on. So it flip flops. We first see Tom and Summer on a date at a Chinese restaurant, and we see Tom make a rude remark, joking remark about an unattractive couple feeding each other at a table nearby. And Summer's like, they love each other. What's gross? Like, what's
Yeah.
weird about that? Because he's saying like, essentially highlighting how these ugly people are, I hate the word ugly, but this is what
Yeah.
the tone of it is. How these ugly people like shouldn't essentially be as happy as they are because they're unattractive.
Which is
And
so gross.
Summer is like, they're happy and like they love each other. Like, why is that a big deal? And then right below that, we cut to them at the same Chinese restaurant earlier on in their dating journey. And they're both making jokes about an unattractive couple feeding each other. And Summer's fully on board for it. And they're cracking things. And like, so it was nice to see the juxtaposition of, I like that we see like where they are now. And then we get to predate that and see like where it came from. Like I thought that was a nice
I agree.
sequencing for that
I agree.
information. Cause again, it's this whole thing of like, again, pulling the rug out from under the reader and showing.
Do you think though that in hindsight, it would be easy to then once again make Summer
Yes.
the bad guy?
Yes.
That it's
it
like,
would.
well, you were
Yeah.
fine and now you're not fine with it.
Yes.
Despite the fact that it could also be
the script leans into that.
because
full-
you could also argue that, you know, she really liked him and so she was being silly and goofy, but then like
she did
her
she has a
greater
vibe with that.
consciousness came and was like, I actually
Yeah.
don't love this. It's actually
Yeah.
not fun.
But this is what I wrote about that whole little moment in it. But so in the movie, they take out that whole Chinese food sequence altogether, and it's them in IKEA.
Which I do love.
I didn't like it as much.
I don't know why I like it, but I do.
I thought like them going through IKEA wasn't cutesy to me.
Interesting. Okay.
But that's also probably because I liked what they did in the script so much that I was excited to see that portrayed.
Oh, that's fair.
So this is what I wrote after reading that part. I said, it's pages 41 to 42. I said, I love that Summer calls out Tom for making fun of the unattractive couple feeding each other at the Chinese restaurant. Tom, well, this is what I thought then. Tom is a likable lead, but he is a bit annoying and selfish, and it's nice to see Summer remind him that he's not God's gift. It's the first glimpse at a dynamic shift between them and a small gap that we can easily imagine widening as more instances like this happen between them. Then we immediately cut to a scene of them 1 month in, laughing together about the exact same thing, and see that Summer is loving it, immediately subverting Summer's character in a way that shows her inconsistencies. Fun storytelling. So again, like we've already discussed now, the story, the script definitely leans into the Summer being inconsistent.
Yeah.
Whereas the movie fully takes that out and is Tom's perception of things is inconsistent and untrue, which is much more dynamic and truthful storytelling. Yeah. So even now, like you can see how I was so much more enamored with the reading experience of it, and I didn't fully take into account these different.
But there's something to be said for that, though.
Oh no, absolutely.
Yeah, where I'm like,
it's a very effective script. It's great. Definitely read it, but it's interesting.
That's what I mean.
Very
it's like the more
interesting.
you dig, the more you're like, oh, you really can see the different. There's a lot to dissect.
Yeah, because now
A lot to
post
interpret.
reading and watching, I don't think Tom's likable. I just don't. He has moments.
Yeah.
I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt's likable.
Yes. Agreed.
But Tom as a character is, as I said, insufferable.
Mainly because it just feels like he thinks he's owed something, and I think
Yeah.
and I don't think that most men who love the film would want to center that. I don't think they would want to say that. I don't think that, but I do think a little bit that's what the vibe is, because
Absolutely. He does feel like he's owed something. She led me on, and now my heart's involved. And I'm just looking for love.
and now my heart's involved.
My next is on page 59.
Mine was 57. I said, this is a lot to be included in an action description. I like it, but like for the sake of note taking here, this could have been done in one sentence. It says, interior party night. Tom and Summer are in a large circle of people at a party. Time cuts reveal that Summer is talking with, laughing with, drinking with, and possibly flirting with many of them. Tom notices, smiles, pretends it doesn't mean anything, but he's clearly jealous, not in a sexual way, but of the attention they're getting from her. It's been a while. He misses that attention. That was one of the first moments where I was like, well, that was a whole lot that we don't need, darling. Like,
True. Actually, yeah. Fully
like you don't need
can't know
any.
that.
You literally could have just said Summer's possibly flirting with many of them. Tom notices, pretends it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
That literally could have done it.
absolutely. Because
And
pretending it doesn't mean anything tells you everything that you need to know in that moment.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
again, we said this in a different episode, but I think we might have said it in our Brokeback episode, where it was like the first part of becoming a good writer is learning how to write well, like how to write in a way that is really good and effective.
Mhm.
The next step, the craft, is doing it in the least amount of words.
Ooh,
And that
yes.
does not mean you should always go like as bare minimum as possible. No, sometimes you do need a paragraph. Like sometimes you just fucking do.
Yeah.
But that being said, like once you realize that and you realize the things that you are most taken by when it comes to screenwriting, it is almost always very well written, but said with less and not more.
It's always impressive.
It's always, literally always.
impressive.
Whereas the opposite most of the time is frustrating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's exceptions. Every
Yeah.
single script has usually at least one or two moments where you're like, there's a longer description and you don't care because you're like, no, this is like you need this.
Yeah.
But and I think the other thing that we said in it was that that it's like this is not a great example of that because you can actually picture all of what they're saying quite easily. But sometimes when you do get too descriptive, it actually is harder to picture.
Yeah, in certain circumstances, yeah.
Not always, but sometimes it really, you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, and you know what I just thought of is it's interesting because as a screenwriter, you have to be good at both. And like Carly just said, being able to say that and execute your vision for this concept in smaller words on the page of a screenplay is, to us, in our experience with the scripts that we've done this examination with, is always more potent and aspirational and impressive. But then the flip side of that is also being able to write a really nicely worded specific paragraph comes in very handy in a treatment.
Yeah.
But also that, depending on how long the treatment needs to be, also the same can apply there with being able to say less with more.
Yeah.
But like, it's interesting that because you would think that you need to be so easy to think that you need to be long-winded to get your point across, but really,
Well, and I would argue that
it's more effective.
you can never, you're never going to say this will never happen, but I can almost promise you are almost never going to get a note where someone's saying, we need you to be saying more. That's almost,
You know what? give us 2 more paragraphs of this. Thank you.
I would like you to describe this longer. Is something is
a note that's
never been given. And now someone's gonna write like a script with like 3 descriptions and be like, oh. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that like if you were to lean, if the goal was to lean a certain way, it's absolutely the more slender version of it. So I just thought that was interesting. It just kind of popped out to me where I was like, oh, that was a wordy little salad when it could have just been a beep, bop, boop, bop, beep, bop, bop.
V true.
I don't have one for a while.
I have one on page 59, and this was totally taken out of the movie. But Tom, after the breakup, is trying to do all these different things to bring himself peace, and they're always not going right. And then I think there's 3 of them. And the third one, he goes to the forest. And this is how it's written on the page. I said, I said, I love when Tom goes to the forest and finally feels a sense of peace, only for us to freeze frame and explain all the reasons why that peace isn't warranted and will soon be shattered. This is a fun example of the make nothing easy for your protagonist trope and a great reminder to have fun with how you execute that. Also, this plays directly in line with the whole thing that we've said ad nauseum at this point of Tom's perception of reality being skewed and not the full picture. He tells himself what he wants to believe, as we all have done and continue to do.
Absolutely.
So that is a very honest exploration of the human condition, but this is what it says.
I forgot how good this is.
It's so funny. It says, exterior forest day. Tom backpacks alone in the forest. Tom, voiceover. Am I tripping? Oh, wait, no. Tom, voiceover. 5, travel. Take some time. Oh, so Tom is reading this book that's titled like How to Get Over Him. It's like a breakup book for women, how to get over a man. And so it gives you these different steps of like, do this, take yourself shopping, do that. And so number 5 is travel. So exterior forest day. Tom backpacks alone in the forest. Tom, voiceover. 5, travel. Take some time to see another environment. Get perspective. It's a beautiful world. It will be for you again someday. And then the action says, this is it. He's finally found some peace. Tom looks up to the tops of the trees where the sunlight is peeking in and takes a deep breath. Freeze on Tom. Information bubbles pop up on the screen to point out that Tom is standing in poison oak. There's a rusty bear trap a step ahead of him, a giant poisonous snake creeping up behind him, a tick on his leg, and in the distance, a hunter has Tom sized up in his rifle sight. Unfreeze. Tom starts to itch.
It's so good.
Love that.
Love that.
You know what? God, the more we get into this, like I have my gripes with Tom, but there are so many moments like this on the page where they do directly undercut him and show that he is this ridiculous person.
You know what's really, now I'm realizing this, is it feels like there are more moments where they kind of undercut to show this with him in the script that are taken out for the movie. And then in the script, we kind of make Summer seem more, I don't know what I want. I'm all over the place, but then in the movie they don't. So it's interesting that they made those, because her changes I fully agree with. And with his, I'm like, interesting. Like I don't know why that scene couldn't have worked in it other than they ditched that. They went with the architecture of happiness instead. And they went a totally different route. And I will say the script reads more comedic than the film. The script leans into humor in ways that are effective. And then at other times I felt detracted at times where it felt like we were getting too close to a real thing and we had to make a titty joke or something. But
titty joke.
But like, so that was one thing I was really struck by was I was like, oh, this script really, it would feel like it was like getting too close to something and then it would be like, oh, funny. But again, it was a fun on the page, but then I kind of didn't miss that part so much in the movie because I felt like the movie decided to lean a little bit more into some groundedness to offset than like the hyper reality that would happen too. Cause I felt like a lot of the moments between him and Summer that they did for the film were actually, a lot of them were very like real moments between people when you're dating and when you're with someone. I will say their addition of the penis scene is, which again, it's so funny because I keep saying like,
such a millennial thing,
but it's such a millennial thing. But again, talk about performance, because on the page that I can promise you on the page I would have been like, I fucking roll. Central. But it works because their performance, it's like this weird, cute little like.
It's endearing. And then the callback to it at the wedding.
And he's like, no.
I forgot that. I loved that. When she whispers penis to him as she's sitting down, I was like, that's fun.
It's fun. It's another way of shared history. It's
shared history and another way to show another little thing that Tom would latch onto even more. Like, oh, she's flirting with me again. she's referencing this thing that we did on one of our dates, kind of. But like, she's just also, you know, trying to make things. I feel like in Summer's perspective, she's trying to make things more comfortable for Tom.
Yeah.
She knows he's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
She's just also being herself.
I also thought, now this is a little movie-ish, and I know, like, but I thought it was so interesting. The obviously, again, Script Babies, as we said, in the script, there is no reconnecting. They break up and they don't see each other again until they're on the bench. The film's choice to have them meet up on the train or like see each other on the train because of their coworker's wedding, that's all completely new.
Yeah.
Not even remotely in the script. I thought it was such a strong choice. But also the addition of that is when she says to him, I wrote to you and you never responded. And again, that doesn't make her the good guy and him the bad guy. But I liked that addition because it showed that this is a person who really did care about the well-being of this other person, but just not so much that she was willing to ignore her own truth. And that it's okay that he didn't respond.
Yeah.
Which also is the antithesis of trying to get someone back, by the way. If he didn't even respond. That's why I just think it's so weird that they even kept the line in the movie that he's like, I'm going to try to get her back, because he never really does.
He doesn't try.
Especially when he doesn't respond to her attempt to reach out to whatever. So I liked, though, that scene of them reconnecting starts with her acknowledgement of that. And you can see that she doesn't necessarily feel bad, but that there's a part of her that's like looking at him like, I'm reminded about the things I enjoyed about you as a person, and I do want to connect, or like I do want to like catch up, and I do want to whatever. Yeah. But once again, it's like you can see instantly that Tom does not know how the fuck to do that without making a story about it.
Yeah, which also plays into the whole. I mean, this is my own speculation, but his speculation. That plays into him saying, I'm going to try and get her back, and then showing, because he's the ultimately very inconsistent one in the movie.
Yeah.
Where he's like, I'm going to get her back, but then we never see him once do that. And just to show again,
yeah, that's
your
true.
perception of things is not fucking right. You thought you went and tried to get her back when you did nothing. But drink and destroy things. Okay. And rely on your 12-year-old sister for insight. I loved in the movie when he's like, could it be PMS? And she's like, well, or she says, is it PMS something? He's like, what do you know about PMS? And she says, more than you, Tom. Like,
yes. Yes, girl, serve it up. More than you. And
you,
he's
Tom.
just like, and you're like, yeah, Tom, shut up. Shut up. And listen to your sister more.
I have one on page 66.
I don't have one until page 77.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So everything we talked about Summer being the inconsistent one on the page, it's right here in my notes. Because on the page, this is what I said. I said 66. Summer is inconsistent and leads Tom on in ways, but she's also very real with her feelings, seemingly. She's a bit of a nightmare, but an honest one at least. Is it just a cop-out, though? This is an example. This is an excerpt from their conversation when she shows up at Tom's apartment to make it up after she got pissed at him for punching the guy at the bar. Tom says, Summer, we don't have to label what we're doing. I need Summer. I know. Tom, consistency. I need to know you won't wake up tomorrow and feel a different way. Summer, I can't promise you that. Nobody can. Anyone who does is a liar. A beat. Summer, I can only tell you how I feel right now, or I can show you. So yeah, it's so interesting. Because
and it's such an honest moment for her.
I was more on Tom's side reading the script and seeing, because like they do set her up to be this inconsistent person so many times up until now. But even just reading that back, like it's yeah, she's upfront and honest with him the whole time. And I also, when she gets pissed at him for punching that guy at the bar, I'm fully fucking on her side. Like, you're a baby child, man. What?
But once again, it's like his storytelling that he's doing, where it's like, she's gonna love, women love when, you know, and you're like,
I'm sure I'm a man.
When you're like, yuck, and like 100%, oh my God, in the movie I was like, yucko, like he's like, you're really good, and you're like, yeah, that dude was a turd, but that was so unnecessary.
Yeah. I'd be grossed out too. What the fuck are you doing? You're gonna fight someone? No. It's very interesting to read my notes back right now with this different perspective I have. Like, that also shows, though, how effective the script is. Like it really brings along for the ride, even though after the fact, I was like thinking back on these things and being like, well, I don't actually agree with that, but forgetting my very notes as I was reading the fucking script.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
Wild.
They're both legit.
What a wild experience.
What a wild.
75, 76?
Yeah, go ahead. I wanted 77.
75 to 76. I said the reveal that Tom was going to take Summer out for dinner for her birthday is so well done. Okay, I did really enjoy that. It does kind of play into this whole thing of like, oh, she's kind of a bitch.
Yes.
But so there's this whole moment where Tom is talking on the phone with, well, we see Tom getting ready for a night out and we think it's just going to be another date night and he's taking her to this fancy restaurant. They make a whole meal of it. And then Summer calls him and is like, hey, can we not tonight? Like, I don't feel like it. I kind of want to just stay home. And Tom's like, oh, yeah, sure. And then the way that conversation ends, because up until this point, we still think that it's a date, just like a regular date. And the thing he says before he hangs up, he says, good night. And then he says, hey, happy birthday. And so we realize she bailed on him for a birthday night where he's like going out and like that, like just shows so much about a person. Like obviously she's pumping the brakes because she's realizing it's just not there for her. But like that disappointment on Tom's, and I thought from a script perspective was super effective because that is a moment where like I really felt for him in that thing where it's like, just like, again, the rug being pulled out from under you and it's being like, oh shit, reality's here.
Absolutely. And it also makes you go though, like because now you're reminding me with all these examples that you're pulling that it does make you more go like, Tom, how the fuck did you not see this coming?
Yeah. Literally. You didn't fucking connect the dots because you're fucking telling yourself an incorrect story.
The movie is a lot more subtle about it, and that must be on purpose in that sense because you don't get as much of a sense that it's way subtler that things have shifted between them. I think you're meant to believe him more when he says everything like what, like I was just out of nowhere. It's like,
yeah.
And then we slowly, as the movie goes on, start to see like it wasn't out of nowhere, but like the script is way more obvious. Like in the script, I don't remember if I said this or not, but they're going to the movies and they run into his parents.
Right.
Or his mom and like stepdad or whatever. And I think that's what it was. And they hug her and then they're like, oh my God, we should all sit together. And then Summer's like, yeah, of course. And then they go in, they're like, we'll save you seats. And Summer gets mad because she's like, did you tell them I'm your girlfriend? And he's like, no. And she's like, well, then why did your stepdad hug me? And again, I was like, ooh, like, once again, she's the first to go, of course we'll sit with you. And then the second they're out of sight, she's getting mad and going, do they think I'm your girlfriend?
Yeah.
That I was like, she is constantly set up in the script to look like divisive and like she doesn't know
inconsistent
bitch.
Yeah.
That
who's afraid of intimacy.
Which yeah.
And doesn't believe in love. And like, yeah. God, I actually feel like this script pulled a trick on me. Because how I feel now, I feel so resolute in my feelings of it, but reading back my notes, like I was so on board. And I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing.
No, yeah.
It's just really interesting to see. Actually, I would say that it does play into the effectiveness of the script.
Agreed.
And that like this conversation that we're having from it and these kind of the ways that we're able to explore the story is also like, it is way more layered than I was giving it credit for.
And I think that's why I was like really looking forward to talking about it. Cause it's like, again, I know in certain ways we've been hard on it, but at the same time, I also think we both keep like earnestly coming back to the fact that there is a lot to digest. And that is, in my opinion, always a good sign of a good movie.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, when something makes you think like this and dissect like this, to me, that is a win. That is a takeaway because You're like, what is the point of a movie if not to make you think and look at these different things and why am I feeling this way towards her and whatever. And I do think it's a very effective script, but it's a more effective movie is
Agreed.
Kind of how I feel.
100% agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have on page 77, I was like, I love this line. It's juvenile, but I felt like for the setting of the film, it's effective. And then the guy who played the part, the line is slightly different. He makes like kind of a silly term for boobs instead of saying this. But he says, Paul, when they're doing like the documentary, he says, I wouldn't say the girl of my dreams. No, the girl of my dreams would have a better rack, probably different hair, would like sports a little bit more. But truth is, Robin's better than the girl of my dreams. You know why? Because she's real. I loved that line.
Yeah.
I was a little bit like, of course we have to. But that being said, I'm going to call myself out and say, as much as it's like eye rolly, it is further to the point he's making, which is like, if I were to go into my brain and just completely make up this dream girl, I'm going to give her bigger boobs. I'm going to give her this. I'm going to do that. But none of that really matters because it's not real and Robin's real and that's what I want, whatever. And it's like, in many ways, it's both not romantic and actually romantic that he's saying like, I prefer what I have because it's real. I thought that line was really effective in the script and in the movie because I was like, that is the type of, there were moments that I wish that the film had stayed in moments like that longer, where it was like, that is ultimately, it
That is
calls
what
out
it's
the
about.
entire film.
Yeah, because he's enamored with the dream version of Summer that he has in his head.
Yeah. Whereas
And
he's like,
not
I've been with this.
appreciating what is real right
Whereas
in front of him.
juxtaposed with Paul, who's been with his girl for like 15 years or whatever it is, and he's like, I would pick Robin over any dream girl. And it's like, once again, all signs point to Tom going, beep, bop, bop, biddy, bop, bop, bing, 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 bing.
That's us blinking our little eyelashes.
Bing, bing. I don't have another one till page 86.
I have one on page 86. That's my next one. But it says exterior outdoor market. Later, Tom and Summer shopping at the fruit market. Unless we were looking for trouble, we wouldn't see any. But since we are, we might notice she lags behind him as they walk through the aisles. His hands are in his pockets. He's bored. She's distant, but only if we're really looking. Yeah.
I like that.
that.
Only if we're really, because that is definitely the vibe that you get at that point.
Unless we were looking for trouble, which we wouldn't, then we wouldn't say anything. I love that. Yeah, just breaking that fourth wall again.
I will say though, there was a part of me that kind of loved as a Jewish person, I loved that was like this kind of like side story that just felt like it was just really like nice and whatever, that I was a little sad that was taken out because they weren't like making any point. It was just like very like part of it that I was a little bit sad, but I very much was like, oh, they could not have taken on two events like that. The movie would have lagged so hard. And it honestly was, I was like, oh, it's so effective that he just goes to her soccer game and she's just giving out therapy wherever she like literally sidelines like, hey, here it is. And then like, beep, gotta go. It's so fun. It's arguably more effective than at this whole, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
Yeah, the trope of the like precocious, beyond her years child like really works in this.
It really does.
Even though like there's more of her in the script, it's like what they did keep for the movie is very effective.
I completely agree. It's a fun little.
My last one's on page 113.
Mine is on 109, and I said, okay. I love, so in the script, Summer's already seated at the bench. She's already sitting there.
At the park?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I said, I do kind of love that Tom finds Summer on the bench he originally took her to. There's something about it, much like the rest of the film, that could be interpreted in different ways. It would be easy to think Summer's evil and she shouldn't go there anymore because that was his spot. But I also think from a more neutral perspective, we do take things with us from the people we meet and date and do whatever with. This scene, however, pisses me off. It felt like it got so close to a powerful position and it pulled back into fantasy land again. The point Summer is making to him is a good one. She found something with someone else that she couldn't walk away from the way that she could with him. Her rules went out the window, which further points to the idea that sometimes in life, the rules you set are bullshit until you find the person you don't need them for. Mm-hmm. That's real life. But the dialogue choice to make it seem like she woke up one day and just knew when we know she was with him for less than a year, that also annoyed. That was one of the things that really fucking annoyed me, was like, I'm on Team Summer all day, but then they like insinuate in the script that like this happens so quickly because he's like, I saw like I forgot the exact thing, but they indicate that she gets engaged and then married in less than a year of her dating this guy. Which again, there's nothing innately wrong with that, months. Other than the fact that it's like I as a person who have been with someone for 15 years. Get a little eye rolling. And again, that's not to say there aren't exceptions to this rule. Of course there are. But when you're doing a movie around like love and you're really trying to hit the fate thing and all that stuff, like I get it. But the fact that we're doing this whole thing of like, I'm in her corner. And again, the movie version I liked. The script version gets weird because the wording is so much more like her being like, you're crazy. Like you were right. Like I just knew. I woke up and I just knew. And then that was it. And it's like, when you were with this dude for less than a year, it's like I'm like, that's a pitfall belief too. Because there's a lot of people who just knew and then they get a divorce like the next year.
Right.
So again, I'm not like, that's me being really in the fucking weeds. I'm gonna own that. But my point was like, I really liked the edits they made for the movie because I felt like what you were really meant to get from it, you got. Whereas like, because they get real specific too, like in this scene in the script where it's where she's like, I just woke up one morning and knew, and then she gets very specific. Whereas like in the movie, he goes, knew what? And she says, that I could feel the same way in a way that I never could with you. Like it's way more conversational. Whereas in the script, it's very movie, the way that they're talking. And then when he's like, well, all my dreams just got whatever. And she's like, Tom, like you were right. And I thought when this happened, like you were right. And he's like, what do you mean? And then she's like, I was sitting reading Dorian Gray at the deli. I could have been at a movie. It was meant to be. And then, but like in the script, she starts cackling. She starts like laughing so hard she can't even stand it.
Oh, right.
And he's like, why are you laughing? And she's like, because you were right. You're crazy. And he's like, you're crazy. And it's like, once again, it was like, we don't need fucking like humor right now. Like this is the time to land the fucking plane and have the adult conversation, which was like, yeah, you're gonna have to sit here and hear me say that like I found something with someone else that I can rely on and I feel right in that I didn't with you, without the parade of like over the top laughter and like very movie-esque dialogue that like it just fucking annoyed me. But then I really liked the changes that they made for the movie.
I definitely like it more for the movie. I enjoyed the ending. I thought it was in line with the tone of the rest of the script.
It definitely was in line with the rest. I agree with that.
It was a good way for her to acknowledge an aspect of Tom's core beliefs that he as a character needed to fully arc.
Oh, fully agree.
And I also fully agree with your assessment of it that you just said. My only note that I wrote down from page 13 was that I liked Summer's little monologue here where she's like talking about like, well, what if I had done something different?
Yep.
Like,
I like that a lot.
She says, what would happen if I went to the movies instead? If I went somewhere else for lunch? If I showed up to eat 10 minutes later? Tom, it was meant to be just like you said. And Tom, it was meant to be just as you said. And as it was happening, I knew it. I could feel it, sure as the sun. And I kept thinking to myself, holy shit, Tom was right. You were right about all of it. It just wasn't me that you were right about. That and little tag is gorgeous. What I liked.
It just wasn't me that is gorgeous.
They strip it back for the movie, and it is a lot more honest. And like, the bursting out laughing and stuff was like almost bordering like
it's like court jester. You don't need it.
You don't need it. But that was like, I liked that dialogue for her to give him a moment of like,
you were right.
Exactly.
100%.
And like, I was being cynical. Like, she wasn't going to that, but like to kind of like,
but also she's going, you were right. And I was right.
This is also in the context of Summer on the page being the inconsistent one to finally come around and be like,
acknowledge.
I realize what I was like.
Yeah.
And like, to kind of like throw Tom a bone in that moment. But with everything you just said, I fully fucking agree. And I love
But again, like, and I'm owning, I'm so in the weeds on that, but it was just more, but I thought that the movie plucked the best parts of that dialogue. Like what you said when she's like, you just weren't right about me. And you were right. Like those needed to happen. She needed to say those things and he needed to receive it.
But like the laughing was,
I was like, again, that was one of my daddy don'ts was like, don't lean into humor when you don't need to. Yeah. I know heart and humor, we always say is like, oh my God, the magic, but not when humor is almost like we're getting too close to the sun. Peel back. Yeah, that's not the time for humor.
Especially in like your climactic scene.
Yeah.
Like you said, when you're landing the plane.
It's so much more effective in the movie because it feels like two real people having a conversation. Whereas the script feels like a movie.
Yeah.
Which again isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just like I was a little bummed that she wasn't seated I kind of liked that she was like I guess she was on the bench behind him, but like I liked that about it because I was like, again, I could see someone going like, oh God, and she's going to the spot that he took, like, but I was like, that's just the truth.
In the script, doesn't he walk up and he sees her there and he tries to act like he doesn't see her or something?
No, I think they say
in the movie, he's sitting there and then she's like, Tom calls to him And like he didn't realize
It
she was
says,
there the whole time.
Tom walks over and sits down on a bench. She stares off, lost in thought, and then from out of nowhere, there's her voice. Summer sits like an apparition on a neighbor. Oh no, I take that back. I read that wrong. She is on a neighboring bench. My bad. When I first read it, I thought she was like on the other end of the bench. My bad. Okay, so it is the same. She's on a neighboring. Well, even further to the point, what I like is still that she does allow herself to go to this spot.
Yeah.
Because again, I think while that can be a very bittersweet thing about having experiences with people that you're no longer in your life, is like you do take things from people. You learn new foods you like. You find movies you wouldn't have found otherwise. And it's like, I think that there's a real bittersweetness to that, where it's like there's that, depending on where you're at, it could really piss you off.
Yeah.
But if you're in a good place, it's like, yeah, that's part of life.
Yeah. You know what's something from the movie that I really liked with the ending? I think it's really cute how they ultimately wrap it up when he goes into the interview and he meets that one girl, and it's like this kismet moment.
Minka Kelly.
Oh, that is Minka Kelly.
Her little voice. That little voice.
Minky Kiki.
Minky. Minky girl. You're so cute, Minky.
I like how we kind of do this supercut wrap up in a certain way of Tom now experiencing connection that's not just based on his fantasies of a woman. So like it's a very quick scene, but like this is a person who's also an architect as well. Obviously they have that in common. And then they have this moment that isn't in the script, I don't think, but in the movie they talk about how that park is their favorite spot in LA. Oh yeah, it's not in the movie, but it's not in the script because the script is completely based in San Francisco, by the way, Script Babies. And the movie's completely based in downtown Los Angeles. So I really liked in the movie how they are both talking about like how that's their favorite spot.
Yeah.
And how they both point out their own gripes with it, how there's too many parking lots, but like that this is what is so magical about it. And like how Tom is now seeing what like real connection with the person can be right off the bat instead of just pure infatuation.
Yeah.
And how and how he's primed as a character to now actually be able to see the inklings of what a real connection is, because he's in a setting that isn't that where he's like, he's gotten over some or whatever. He's in this setting where this is not the setting where you're supposed to meet someone that you might be into.
Right.
And I really liked that. I thought that was really nice to show like that juxtaposition of him and then her name being Autumn and everything. All of it's wrapped up in that, which I thought was really, really nice.
Yeah.
And her being Autumn and everything in that, and then the day switching to like one.
Yeah.
Again,
although I will say,
really nice
I loved it, but then I had this like tiny pit for 1 second where I was like, Tom, are you going to do your whole fucking shit again? Are you gonna,
probably?
Because there's a part of me that want to be like,
ways,
well, because, and then I went to the beginning and I was like, the beginning makes me go like, are you a person that actually does learn, Tom, or are you going to do the exact same thing?
Well, yeah, and also you probably are going to do it, but then it's when you do that with someone who's willing to help you be that mirror for yourself and do the shadow work alongside you, and to be there and to be patient with you, and if they get over it,
and that they authentically want to be there, like that they do want to be there. So no, I agree that the ending is great. I just had 1 second where I was like,
is going to do the same shit. Absolutely. Tom, the person that we just saw being absolutely crazy. Yeah. And he's going to have to learn, don't go fucking breaking plates.
Don't go breaking those plates.
I do have one other little anecdote before we go into movie notes, because this is about scripts. At the premiere after party, my mom was like, I'm going to take you to go meet one of the writers. And so my mom walked me over. I don't remember which writer it was, but she was like, this is my son. I was 2009, so I was 20. We had known each other for 1 year. And so my mom walked me over to him. She's like, this is my son, Colin. He wants to be a screenwriter. Do you have any advice for him? His advice, which I found disappointing at the time, but have a whole new perspective on now, was just keep writing. He said, just keep writing. Just keep writing, man.
Just keep swimming.
Keep doing it.
Just keep writing.
And in the moment, I remember being like, oh, yeah, cool, thanks. Like,
but you're like,
awesome. But now, the longer I've, continued to hold on to my dream of being like a working screenwriter and all of that, that is honestly the most simple, correct advice that you can give any writer.
Absolutely.
Is because this industry, in so many ways, whether you're a writer or an actor, whatever, as you know, this industry can fucking beat you down and beat that spirit out of you, but just keep fucking going and keep doing it. And how that is something that actually, like, I've thought back on because I've had that same feedback reflected in a myriad of different ways in my life.
Yeah.
And that, like, if you are a new writer, it's simple and annoying, but keep fucking writing. Just keep fucking writing.
So spot on.
Because you're going to get better with every script.
And
listen to Script Daddy.
And listen to Script Daddy. I literally was telling my client Amy, "Hi Amy, I love you." I was literally talking to her the other day, and I was like, "For real, if you treat this podcast like a class, you will." I was like, Colin and I are like literally living proof that like this isn't just fun. If you actually take this information in, it can absolutely
and follow our
you.
process. Read
Absolutely.
the script, watch the movie, and detect the differences for yourself.
It's like literally like biohacking how to get better at it. And it's not, by the way, not because we're ever in a million years suggesting any replication ever.
Yeah.
It's not about that. It's about finding the commonalities of things that work and don't work and allowing that to further your relationship with yourself and your own instincts.
The observations we've had on dialogue writing and what is good dialogue and what is great dialogue. I wrote a scene a couple days ago in my vampire script that I was like, God damn.
Yeah.
That was good dialogue.
And you know what's so funny is you and I flipped because, you know, like dialogue is like my sweet spot.
Yeah.
I've always been good at it. Whereas action and description used to just literally make me want to vom everywhere. And now from doing this, now I'm like, let's party. And in my last script, I was like very impressed with, I was like, oh, I found myself enjoying.
Your action was very good in that script.
I was like, because I enjoyed it. I let myself enjoy it because I stopped going, I'm not good at it. And I started going, well, what makes someone good at it? Yeah. And then seeing 1,000 examples of what I like and what I don't like allowed me to hone my version of it versus I'm not chasing how anyone else is doing it, but seeing how other people do it in ways that I like and don't like has allowed me to trust my own instinct more.
Absolutely. I think if you are a writer working or aspiring that is listening to this podcast and has made it this far and deep into the episode, thank you.
Hi, hello, we love you.
Hi, we love you.
We'll send you something.
You are the heart of this podcast. I think the ultimate version of consuming this podcast is to see what the episode is, read the script, watch the movie for yourself, get your notes, and then listen along as a companion and see what our observations are, what yours are. And
fully agree.
I think that, like, if you did that as a writer, especially as a new writer,
it'll change the game.
It's years of work condensed in like so much quicker. Like if we had done this years ago, oh my God. Anyway,
and
we're doing it now. And
100%. It 1,000%. Because again, I do think I've said this a million times, I'm a broken record, but I'm also saying this because of the consulting I do is you have to learn the rules first. But that being said, the next step is going, what is my voice?
Yeah.
And this process, it's almost impossible to not strengthen your voice by seeing, because again, my favorite thing about doing this is that we're doing produced scripts.
Yeah.
That is the only thing these things have in common. That is so powerful to go, every single script got made that we're doing. So all of them, people read and said, okay, we're making this.
Yeah.
So even the ones we've not loved still got made.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's interesting to go, what about this is striking? What about this, whatever? That is the guide you need above all else.
Mm-hmm.
It's better than any theory, any fucking TikTok thing that you pull where someone says, take 75 cards and put them together and you got a movie. And you're like, oh, kill me. Well, we've been long in the tooth on this, but
we have.
But I'll just skimsies my movie notes. I will say, I put this in all caps. This movie is a huge example of how important chemistry is.
Yes.
I will die on this hill. And I'm going to look right down the barrel here to the tube and to the soch and say that any project I ever do, understand that chemistry will be at the forefront of it because it does not matter how well written something is. Woo. If two people who were meant to root for in any way don't have chemistry, I'm fucking out.
And chemistry will level up
everything.
Okay, so writing.
1,000%. Nothing bad comes from good chemistry.
Yeah.
Ever. And I wish to God that was considered more in the making of things because
I don't know how they cast some of this shit, dude.
Well, because it's literally like, here's this celebrity and this celebrity. Does not matter in any way if they have chemistry. They're both hot and on fire right now. So boom. And it's like, that's just not, chemistry is like this weird energy thing that you can't. These two had chemistry.
They did.
Where I wanted to watch them on screen together. Like I believed them as two people dating. And I wanted to watch them. And I just felt like it added, I was more in on it right away because I will say I was most taken by Zooey Deschanel's. Like I've said that multiple times now, but like I really was taken with her performance because I felt like she kept making choices with the dialogue that my brain was making a different choice for. And I also think that's partially because of what we've pointed out is you're continuously made to think that she's this wish-washy, whatever. But I just thought she played her so...
Yeah.
You got why he fell for her too, because like there was, whatever, but
it's very
I just
enigmatic
was like,
and kind of intrinsically unknowable and unreachable. And like, of course, if you're infatuated by her, then it's like, oh, gotta have it.
But what I will give Joseph, I'm going to give Joseph a little sexy point for a second.
He's very cute.
No, but you know what? I was kind of like, whatevs. But the one moment where I said, okay, Gordon Levitt, when they're at IKEA and he like she lays down on the bed
and
he picks her up with his arm and in one fell swoop he pushes her further up on the bed. I said, Joseph in IKEA?
You a cutie.
I was like, you better get it, Joseph. You better grab that girl by her back and you better pull her up that bed in IKEA.
Girl, Joseph Gordon-Levitt in Inception.
I do think, by the way, I was just saying, I was like, that movie's a beast, but we do have to do that movie.
Yeah, with love.
But I was like, I got to give my flowers.
Yeah.
I was taken aback for a moment. I said, you better get it. You better get it. You better get it.
You better get it. I loved the addition in the movie of the whole Summer effect montage and showing how Summer throughout her whole life, just things happen for Summer. Summer like has this appeal to people that is unknowable, but at the same time, just like so obvious. And I loved that because it almost paints her as this like mythical being. And it's like, how could he not fall for her? How could any man not fall for her? I really liked that because it made his strife more relatable.
Yes.
Because like everyone feels this with Summer. Things just always go right for Summer and she just is this great person. I said, one of my movie notes is, it does kind of feel like this movie is an ode to hating women in some ways. That's more so a note for the script now that I believe. But they're all too happy to hate women, which I do think there's a bit of commentary in there as well. But just these days, it would have been dialed up more.
But think about it too, though. It's so from Tom's POV. We never even see Summer having friends.
No, yeah, true.
It is so his world.
Yeah, and she's much less apologetic in the movie with her dialogue, which I liked that a lot because there are a few times where she's like, again, they lean into her being this inconsistent person.
Yeah.
And yeah, here's my note about Joseph Gordon-Levitt is great at playing drunk. It's so many people get a little too like stereotypical cartoonish with playing drunk, but when it's done well, it's really very impressive because I can imagine as an actor how fucking hard that must be to play drunk if you're not actually drunk on set.
There's a scene in what was Kate Winslet that one-off series she did? Was it Mayor of
Easttown?
Was that the one she did where she's got the thick Philly Delco?
Oh yeah.
I'm forgetting. Oh my God, now it's bothering me that I'm forgetting her scene partner in it because he's so good. The young guy. Oh my God, it's going to piss me off. Whatever. I'm going to listen back to this and be so annoyed with myself. But her young male scene partner in it, that is the only other time where I saw an actor playing drunk where I was literally like, who is it?
Evan Peters?
Evan Peters. He played drunk in a scene.
Evan Peters is a great actor.
He's a great, he is a really, I was literally like, I remember saying this guy, I was like, this is one of the best depictions of drunk I've ever seen. And that just shows you how good it is when, like, because the fact that I remembered that I just pulled it out of my ass is it just tells you how rare it is where you're like, wow, that person really killed drunk.
I mean, we've already talked about my other two things, but like one thing I was saying, are we really supposed to think that Summer is being unreasonable after being upset with Tom after punching the guy at the bar?
Yes.
Because these days I totally understand her. Then my last one was I love the addition of the expectation versus reality split screen, and the reveal and how they reveal that Summer is engaged is great because it is like a splash of
Agreed.
cold water,
Yes.
but it also
where is her fiance at the party?
yeah,
We'll
we
overlook
don't-
that, but it's like
you
a
know.
little like she's very single vibe at that.
Mhm.
That all of a sudden it does feel a little. But I was like, whatever. I'll. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pick at that string of the. I will say though, we kind of get it. I said the scene changes at Summer's place after he punches the dude in the bar are stronger. Her being turned off by his behavior and trying to get away with then saying that they're just friends. I did think like that's where you're like Summer when she tries to do
True.
like, and again, but I liked that because again, we're not trying to make it seem like she's perfect either. She's not, but it was like that's her weak point where it was like in that moment when she's trying to be like, we're just friends. And he's like, don't do that. It was like what I liked about it is it forced you to sympathize with both of them. It was like,
Yeah.
she's mad and she's feeling even less attracted to him, which is making her want to go to like, well, we're just friends. Like,
Right,
because
yeah.
she's so icked out by his behavior. And yet he's totally justified in being like, we're not just fucking friends. Like, we're
Yeah.
not. And it reminds me of, we did not have anything like this happen, but I remember when Scott and I had been dating for a while, I was very non-committal, so non-committal about it, even though we were so together from the moment we started dating. But I was like, I remember saying to him like, well, we're not like official. And I remember he looked at me and he was like, but we are something, because if we stop doing this, like that would be a version of a breakup. And I remember being like, driving home that night being like,
Clock it.
clocked. Like, and I also ended up finding it very attractive because I was like, I appreciated being called out actually. I was like, oh, bitch, you're wrong. And
Like, oh shit, you see me.
yeah.
And you're not gonna let me get away.
And so
with
I
my
like,
shit.
but I think similarly, Summer was called out.
Yeah.
And then she's the one who comes back and she does say apologize because but then she also says like, me too. Like they both, I liked it because it felt like you saw both their flaws and then you saw both their attempt to like reconnect at that point. And I thought it was just like a stronger choice across the board. I thought the shot of him getting his shirt on while it's raining when he's walking to the door, which
It's a nice shot, yeah.
just like the movie really had like, I even loved the beginning when it's juxtaposed of like childhood footage of them.
Yeah.
Because again, you're like, this is not a love story. I mean, it is, but it's not. It's like adjacent. But like that, again, you expect that for a movie where we're going to see these two end up together, that I kind of loved that there was a zoom out feeling of like the universe and life and connection, that like we're still going to treat it like that because we're still meant to learn the thing through these two people
Yeah, really
that did
great
share
direction.
a real connection, just not the end all be all connection. I just thought there's a lot of thoughtful things in the movie. Okay, this is so random. The movie zooms in on an outline of a dude's dick.
Oh yeah, the Puma.
Yes. I literally howled. I was like, I literally was like, oh my God. And the main reason I thought it was so funny is because if you would have put a gun to my head before I rewatched this and said, in the movie 500 Days of Summer, do they do a tight zoom on a dude's huge boner? I would have been like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
But it speaks to like this weird like universe that the movie makes, because it doesn't add to or subtract to the film. It's just another thing that happens in the
Yeah.
movie. And I said,
And that is on the page. They don't zoom in on it.
They don't
but
zoom
it
in
says
on
like
it.
his boner's like practically ripping through his pants or something.
but like, yeah, but I said to Scott, I go, Scott, did you know that this is the movie? And he was like, that's not the movie. And I was like, exactly. It's so funny that
Yeah.
the movie works so well that like that can be this like throwaway moment.
Yeah.
That's like highly comedic and kind of ridiculous, but it like
Yeah.
totally flies under the like.
Yeah. I'd forgotten about the whole French film sequence too. With, like,
Yes.
suffering. So much stuff. It's so funny. And like, it really works. It's such an off-kilter, very hipster film.
very
Extremely, extremely millennial.
And then I will say I love the choice to have Allison, the girl he's on a date with. I love that she calls him
Yes.
out, because in the script it's like kind of like unbearable.
Yeah.
Whereas like I loved how the girl playing that scene is very sweet and she's arguably way too patient with him.
Yeah.
But when she finally is like, okay, so did she ever cheat on you? And he's like, no. And she's like, and did she ever use you in any way? no. And she told you from the beginning that she didn't want to be.
Uh-huh.
I love that because again, she does it very gently. She's not being a bitch. She's literally just filing through all the endless information she's just been told. And I think the viewer needed that.
Yeah.
The viewer needed the reminder that an outside person, albeit a woman, but an outside person is going like, can we just go over a couple basics real quick?
Yeah.
Because again, I do think that's important when we're so
Agreed.
stuck in Tom's POV.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although I'd like to think at that point we could all agree that Tom's being ridiculous. I don't think everyone would feel that way.
Yeah, but the more that we do talk about it, I do think that the filmmaker, the director, understood that.
Yes.
And because especially with all the changes that we've seen with their characters,
Agreed.
he understood that we are supposed to root for Tom, but that also Tom is ridiculous. And
In a
making a
word,
meal out of something.
Yes. Yes. That's it on my notes.
Me.
My daddy do's. I have 2 daddy do's and 2 daddy don'ts, but one of them is like teeny weeny.
I have a singular daddy do and no daddy don'ts.
Give it to me, lay
Just
it on me.
because my other daddy do's would have been ones that I've talked about before.
Well,
about like the fun formatting and fun structuring.
I can't promise that's not.
You know, I was feeling a little bit like I needed to eke one out, but my one daddy do is daddy do. Utilize juxtaposition. The writer mirrors montages and thematic sequences in 2 different contexts to highlight Tom's state of mind to great effect, like the close-up cuts of Summer's features or the cartoon best day ever sequences. It adds a lot of energy and style to the page, informing tone and heightening comedy by subverting what we saw before. Great reminder that having fun on the page should also be fueled by intention.
Whoa, 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 whoa. This is turning into a singing podcast. Yes, God, 1000%. Facts. I said, daddy do experiment with formatting. But I said, while I think this is a great script and it's very well written, the thing I will always think about first when I think about this script is how smart and innovative the changes they made with formatting was. Because again, very well written. There's a lot of scripts that are very well written, but literally the thing I have not been able to stop thinking about was just going the awe of God, those were smart formatting choices.
Without the fun formatting.
Oh my God.
I
would argue it's a huge reason why it made it to the blacklist because that's what made it stand out.
Absolutely.
Because again, the rest of it's good,
swing.
but it's really that combination of great writing with that unique thing is what makes it the chef's kiss.
Yeah.
My second daddy do was experiment with different ways to make the reader feel what you want them to feel. This script does a good job of putting you in Tom's head more so than it is typically called for or appreciated. But for a story that is so deeply in his POV, and with all the back and forths in time and in perspective, it helped to have some extra internal dialogue going on, even if the viewer themselves couldn't necessarily know all of it. Because again, I know that many a time on this podcast, we've said you really need to be mindful of not giving too much action of things that cannot be either performed or shown. I do think a lot of the notes could have been performed in this, but it definitely had many a time, one of the examples I read where you're that could have been stripped down.
Yeah.
But I do think again, every script's needs are different. And this script's it did work a little bit to make sure you weren't having to go back in your brain and remember things. It was kind of always keeping you where you needed to be so that you didn't get lost. And I think that that did work for this. So it's experiment with each script is its own beast, and technically each script should have its own rules. And I feel
I fully agree with that.
That this script was an argument for that across the board. My daddy dounce was start your script with the word bitch. LOL. Just kidding. Not the big deal. That was kind of to be semi-funny. My only other one was just don't rely too heavily on humor if it can detract from your story. The film has humor, but in a way that grounds the film, whereas the script, it would often take me out. And like I said, couldn't be a bigger proponent of humor, but again, when it's used in a smart way to actually pull you in, humor should pull me in. And there was times in the script where it pulled me out, but I didn't feel that way about the movie.
Yeah.
And you didn't have a daddy don't?
No.
No, daddy don't.
No, daddy
Oh,
don't.
no, she better don't.
Oh, no.
That is 500 Days of Summer.
That was it. We did it. We did it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching on
We love you.
YouTube.
Let us know what you're liking.
Let us know. Give us a like and review and a follow and a share.
We are thinking about doing like a little, like leave us a review, and perchance there will be a little contest with a little goodie in it.
Yeah.
A little goodie.
Leave us a review. You might get some exclusive Script Daddy merch.
Exclusive.
So exclusive.
Exclusive
on ASMR.
I was just gonna say, and now you're turning into like Gollum over there.
Yeah.
This is This podcast After Hours is Gollum ASMR.
Oh my God.
Okay, we love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.